If we and of my vision. Wake up. Okay.
Good afternoon, Honorable Member.
Is it okay?
Not really. If you can maybe change the orientation of your phone and have it on landscape so that the picture can be fuller on the screen, and then it will help you to actually be in the middle of the screen as well. Just put it on landscape.
How is it now? Honorable Mkweli again.
Yeah, it's much better, Honorable Mukwele. It's better than earlier. It's still not perfect because it's the light is coming from the side, but it's much better than earlier. Thank you so much.
Much better. Okay, no, thank you.
This one's Caranya falei que vale free. Ana yung technology. It's from. Let me go out from here. Yeah.
Lizzle? I think honorable members are okay. It's 6 minutes before 2. So I don't think there's any other member who needs assistance.
Let me just check the speakers list for you quickly, Mother. Okay, I see Honorable Medupi has still not been on her camera, but she's due to deliver a motion without notice. And what else? Honorable Kennedy has been assisted. Honorable, yeah, it looks to me like all the permanent delegates who needed assistance, except for Honorable Medupi, have been assisted. Let me just check on the motions list with the Honorable Baines is there. No, so I think you're right, Modder. Those who needed to be assisted have been assisted. Thank you.
Thanks, Lizzle.
Thank you, Modder.
Hi, good afternoon. Please note that I logged in with 2 devices because I have problem with one of them. So just in case the one does not work, then I'm going to use the other one immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Baines. Noted.
Recording in progress.
There will now be a moment for silence prayer or meditation. You may take your seats. Thank you. May I remind delegates of the rules of the House, particularly Sub-Rule 21, 22, and 23 of Rule 103. I will now allow an opportunity for delegates to give notices of motions. And once again, we have made provision for 20 minutes for this notices of motions. I do have a list before me of delegates who has indicated to move notices of motions and motions without notice. I will now start with notices of motions, and the first speaker on my list is the Chief Whip, Honorable Sithole.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and good morning to your good self and honorable members. I hereby give notice that in the next sitting of Council, I shall move that the Council, number 1, debate the misappropriation, mismanagement, and misuse of National Lottery Grant. Further note that since President Ramaphosa signed a presidential proclamation in 2020 authorizing the Special Investigation Unit to investigate misappropriation of funds, maladministration, and corruption at the National Lottery Commission, several properties linked to the abuse of mismanagement and misuse of National Lottery Grant have been exposed, and acknowledges that misappropriation and mismanagement of National Lottery Grant deprive our citizens, particularly the poor, vulnerable, and diverse group in the arts, sports, heritage, charity, voluntary, health, education, and environmental sectors, which depend on these funds to uplift our nation and assist in advance the state developmental objective. I so move.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chief Whip. We have noted the notice of motion, and accordingly, it will be subjected before the House. We are now moving to the next speaker. It's Honorable Finis.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I hereby give notice on behalf of the African National Congress that the House in the next sitting debate South African youth leveraging opportunities presented by South Africa's Group of 20 G20 presidency. And note that during its presidency, South Africa is prioritizing Africa's development and the goals outlined in the African Union Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. South Africa's 3 priorities for the G20 presidency focus on 1, inclusive economic growth and industrialization. Number 2, employment, and number 3, reduce inequality. I so move. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Finis. We are moving to Honorable Mokoena.
Thank you, Chair. I hereby give notice on behalf of Umkhonto weSizwe Party that at the next meeting of this House, I shall move that this House notes the Auditor General's report and media expose revealing that more than 93 million has been spent on maintaining ministerial homes, including frivolous upgrades and wasteful contracts. We recognize that this expenditure were incurred while millions of South Africans live without basic housing, sanitation, and electricity. Resolved to establish a multi-party parliamentary inquiry into all ministerial perks, upgrades, and staff appointments over the past 5 years. I so move.
Thank you, Honorable Mokoena. The next speaker on my list is Honorable Ngumanu.
No, thank you very much, Chair. My humble greetings to your good self and all the honorable members in the House. I hereby, on behalf of the African National Congress, give notice that in the next sitting of the Council, I shall move that this August House debate the rapid changes in the evolving global order and geopolitics, and the attendance, security and trade challenges they pose to the poor countries of the South, especially the African continent. Number two, acknowledge that at the core of these challenges is the reinvention and perpetuation of the colonial era exploitation of the former colonized countries by the former colonial powers and the deepening of the colonial era inequality. And further acknowledge that the integration of Africa will go a long way in mitigating the negative impact of this shift. And Parliament has a critical role, Chair, in this regard. I so move. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Numan. The next speaker is Honorable Peter.
Thank you, Chair. The United Democratic Movement moves that the House, in its next sitting, debate the urgent and unacceptable non-payment of overtime remuneration to public sector doctors in Gauteng and the Eastern Cape, who, despite fulfilling their contractual and ethical obligation by working extended hours, commonly referred to as calls, including nights and weekends, have not been paid for over 2 months. This failure by provincial health departments threatens to destabilize the already existent public healthcare system, demoralizes medical professionals, undermines service delivery, and violates labor rights. I so move. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are now moving to Honorable Mabilo.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members. I hereby give notice on behalf of the African National Congress that in the next sitting of the Council, one, we debate the reaffirmation of the commitment of the South African Parliament and the people of South Africa on the strengthening and transformation of the Pan-Africanist Parliament for the reclaiming of the 21st century as an African century. Two, notes with great sense of pride and appreciation the coming of age of the Pan-African Parliament, PAP, as it marks the 21st anniversary of existence this year, which provides a critical opportunity to review its standing and position in the advancement of the continent. I so move. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mabilo. We are now moving to the motions without notice. And I'm being told that on the speakers list, the members of EFF have since withdrawn. We will now start with, once again, the Chief Whip of the Council, Honorable Sithole.
Thank you again, Honorable Chair. I hereby move without notice that the Council note the utmost concern and appreciation the surge in kidnapping cases in South Africa, resulting in nearly 5,000 abductions since the start of 2025. Further note that 5 years ago, around 1,919 people were kidnapped in South Africa during the same period, whereas this year, cases of kidnapping have risen to an alarming 4,748. Further note that according to the latest crime statistic covering October to December 2024, Gauteng recorded the highest number of kidnapping with 2,499 cases, followed by KwaZulu-Natal with 901, the Western Cape with 275, and the Eastern Cape, where several high-profile abductions have occurred in recent weeks, including the kidnapping of a 9-year-old Fatima Iman in East London, reported 205 cases, and number 4 takes this opportunity to acknowledge the tireless efforts of the police in their concerted battle against kidnapping and abduction, and calls on them to dedicate more resources to combat those perpetrators this heinous crime. I so move.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chief Whip. Do we agree to adopt the motion? The motion is adopted. We are moving to Honorable Modisi. She is acting within full powers. And she's very good.
Behave.
She is very good, I must say that. Yes. Yes. Thank you.
No, thank you so much, Honorable Chair. I hereby move without notice on behalf of the Real Congress of the People, the African National Congress, that the House notes that on the 23rd of October 2004, both Sechaba and Naume Mufokeng gave birth to a boy and they named him Relebohile, which means we are grateful. Today, Relebohile Mufokeng is a household name, not only in South African football or Africa, but the whole world, as it is captured by the journalist called Jean-Claude Pemba from the City Press on an article dated 28 March 2025, titled European Presidents Deliberating Relebohile Mofokeng's Influence in South African Football. Relebohile Mofokeng, as also known as Captain of Ama 2000, will be launching his Relebohile Mofokeng Foundation on Saturday, June 14, 2025. And how can we forget the love that he has been shown by the people of South Africa, starting from Bloemfontein in the Free State when he got his debut for Bafana, Gauteng, Western Cape, and Limpopo. We therefore request this House to note that Relebohile's foundation launch will happen in two places. One, it will start with the Family Day and end up with a gala dinner. And therefore, Chair, we urge the people of Gauteng, Fezile Dabi, Thabo Mofutsanyana, and Dr. Kenneth Kaunda Richards to come out in their numbers to show love and support to Naume, Sechaba, and Mofokeng. I so move.
Do we agree to the motion? The motion is adopted. We are now moving to Honorable Skierkochel.
On behalf of the real protector of South African democracy, the Democratic Alliance, I hereby move without notice that this council notes with sadness the passing of Rudolf Holzhausen, a paramedic of Sasolburg in Meti-Moholo local municipality on the 15th of May 2025. He passed away due to a blood clot as he was suffering from high blood pressure. His death is a direct result of the failure of the Free State Provincial Department of Health to provide the clinic in Sasolburg with medication. Mr. Holzhausen was unable to collect his medication from the Sasolburg clinic for 2 months. Furthermore, notes in recent months, we have seen an increase in reported incidents in the Free State clinics and hospitals that do not have medicine to provide patients with expired medicine, as confirmed by my oversight to a visit in Mafube local municipality. We hereby call on the Free State Provincial Department of Health to urgently address the medicine shortages in the province to ensure that our people do not die at the hand of incompetent officials. I so move.
Do we agree to the motion? The motion is defeated. We are now moving to Inkosi Nonkonyana.
Honorable Chair and honorable members, may I request that they stand down mine? It's just that this thing is frozen.
No, thank you very much. We are now proceeding to Honorable Mokoena.
Thank you, Chairperson. I hereby move without notice.
Honorable Skierkegen, as well as Honorable Khatebe, you'll fight your battles in the Free State. You'll meet at the clinic. Over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I hereby move on behalf of Umkhonto we Sizwe Party, the only party for the people, without notice that this House notes with alarm the ongoing collapse of basic education in South Africa, marked by crumbling infrastructure, overcrowded classrooms, and dangerous learning conditions. Recognizes that the persistent shortage of textbooks and teaching materials, along with rampant corruption and mismanagement in the Department of Basic Education, constitutes a gross violation of learners' constitutional rights, condemns the continued negligence and lack of accountability to rob Black, rural, and working class children of the future, calls for an immediate forensic audit of education spending from 2018 to 2014, consequence management, including dismissal of senior officials and ministers who have failed to do their duties. I so move.
Is there any objection? The motion is agreed to. Honorable Bishop.
If I may correct you, Honorable Chair Boshoff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Namens die Demokratiese Alliansie stel ek hiermee sonder kennisgewing voor dat hierdie raad met ernstige kommer kennis neem van die toestand van die R36 tussen Lydenburg en Bambi, wat intussen 'n gevaarlike en onbruikbare toestand verval het. Erken dat boere, vragvervoerders en inwoners se woede geregverdig is, aangesien hulle voertuie beskadig word, hulle inkomste verloor en hul veiligheid daagliks bedreig word. Hierdie versuim aan die kaak stel as 'n direkte gevolg van die provinsiale departement van openbare werke en vervoer se onvermoë om die pad betyds op te gradeer, doen 'n beroep op hierdie huis om die LER vir openbare werke en vervoer in Mpumalanga dringend te versoek om verslag te doen aan die parlement en 'n volledige aksieplan met begroting en sperdatums voor te lê. Beklemtoon dat die verval van die R36 nie net 'n padkrisis is nie, maar 'n krisis van aanspreeklikheid en politieke wil. Ek stel so voor. Dankie.
Thank you, Honorable Boshoff. I just wanted to make sure, and my apologies for wrong pronunciation earlier on. Honorable Mananiso, she's on the virtual platform, but before I proceed to her, are we agreeing to the motion? The motion has been agreed to. Honorable Mananiso.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, just allow me to go through my statement without my video because my network connectivity is not well. Chair, I move without notice to allow to rise on behalf of the African National Congress that this August House notes with great sense of appreciation and pride with the swift apprehension of the alleged suspects in the gruesome murder of Olerato Mongali, a 30-year master's degree student at the University of Johannesburg. Further salutes Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, the Provincial Commissioner of Police in KwaZulu-Natal, for decisive and courageous leadership in commanding his forces in the ground battles with the criminals, which led to the killing of one of the key suspects in the shootout with the police. And therefore congratulate our men and women in blue for their dedication, steadfastness, and speed with which they have acted in tracking and apprehending these people who are tormenting our nation. I so move.
Thanks, Honorable Mananiso. Do you agree to the motion? The motion is accepted. We're now moving to Honorable Van den Berg.
Van den Berg. Thank you, Chair. This motion without notice.
If you could just interpret it in Isindebele, I promise you I'll get it right.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. This motion without notice serves to inform the National Council of Provinces that the annual Comrades Marathon will take place this coming Sunday for the 98th time. A comprehensive cleanup campaign has been launched as thousands of runners and supporters will be visiting. This year the race will be run from Pietermaritzburg down to Durban. Running downhill is said to take more strain on runners. Around 22,000 athletes will participate in the event. And this year, I personally, for the 35th time, will not be able to attend. But then, on behalf of the Freedom Front Plus, I propose that the House wishes every athlete taking part in this iconic marathon a safe and successful race. I so move.
Thank you very much. To agree to the motion. The motion is agreed to. We are now moving to Honorable Peter.
Thank you, Chair. The United Democratic Movement notes with concern that South Africa has now been named one of the most violent places in the world. The ranking has been compiled annually for over a decade and lists the 50 most violent cities in the world by the number of murderers per 100,000 people, and at least 3 major South African metros have qualified since 2013. Further notes, in 2024-2025 ranking, 5 South African cities made the cut, again led by Gqeberha, with Buffalo City joining for the first time. The alarming statistics shows that the Eastern Cape, Gqeberha and Buffalo City has the highest murder rate. UDM calls the Department of Police to act swiftly in critical emergencies where lives are in danger, capacitate police officers with many vehicles and enough firearms. I so move. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Peter. Is there an objection? The motion is duly adopted. We're now moving to Honorable Mokai.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby move without notice that the Council, 1, knows that progress is being made to ensure the independence of the Judicial Inspectorate for Correctional Services. It was revealed during a recent meeting of the Select Committee on Security and Justice that JIX has been established in terms of Section 7, subsection 5C of the Public Service Act 1994 as a government component with a total allocation of just over 120 million for this financial year, in the main for both personnel and non-personnel obligations. 2, further notes that in line with the DA's long-standing call that the organization is fully independent of the Department of Correctional Services, the very department it is supposed to oversee in order to safeguard the human rights of inmates. 3, welcomes the undertaking made by the Correctional Services Minister in this August House last month that consultations between National Treasury and the DPSA on the draft JIX bill are finalized and the bill will be tabled in Parliament later this year. 4, recognizes that the bill, which will amend the Correctional Services Act of 1998, calls for more binding powers to be availed to the JIX so that their oversight work can lead to meaningful change. The bill will ultimately repeal most parts of Chapter 9 and Chapter 10 of the Act and ensure that its recommendations are binding, it is adequately resourced and capacitated and truly independent. I so move, Honorable Chair.
Thanks, Honorable Mokai. Is there an objection to the motion? The motion is duly adopted. We're now moving to Honorable Midupi, who has joined in on virtual platform. Honorable Midupi. She seemed not to be there. We're now proceeding to Honorable Ndlovu.
Thanks, Honorable Chairperson. I hereby move a motion without notice on behalf of African National Congress that on Monday the 2nd, as we entered the Youth Month, the Deputy Minister in the Presidency, Ms. Nongceba Mhlauli, released the progress report of the Presidential Youth Employment Intervention for the 4th quarter of the 2024-2025 financial year. And we further note that this year marks the 5th year since the launch of the Provincial Youth Employment Intervention in 2020. Further note that the report shows that the program continues to make meaningful strides in unlocking sustainable earning opportunities for young people across South Africa, including the one of Badenhorst. To this end, in Q4 alone, 76,569 earning opportunities were accessed by young people. And lastly, Honorable Chair takes this opportunity to call on the government, the private sector development partners, and youth employment and young people themselves to enhance coordination and collaboration so that these opportunities may have a far greater impact on youth unemployment in South Africa. I so move. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ndlovu. Is there no objections, honorable members? The motion is adopted. Honorable Brits.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. On behalf of the largest alliance, the Democratic Alliance, I herewith move without notice that this House congratulates the High Performance Girls Cricket Centre in Kebega in the Eastern Cape on the successful and inspiring launch of this transformative initiative. The establishment of the centre marks a milestone for girls cricket in South Africa. The centre sets a new standard for fairness, excellence and transparency in sports, based on merit-based platform where every girl has the chance to succeed based on ability and effort. It is not only a celebration of sporting ambition, but also a powerful statement that talent, hard work and determination will be recognized and nurtured regardless of gender. This initiative signals the end of an era where young girls were too often given second best and signals the beginning of a new era where they are given every opportunity to thrive. I so move.
Thank you, Honorable Brits. Is there an objection? Agreed too. Honorable Zulu.
Sibingelele mgcini sihlalo ngaphambili namalunga ahloniphekile walendlu. I rise on behalf of Umkhonto weSizwe and hereby move without notice that this House urges the Minister of Home Affairs to reconsider the compulsory smart ID requirement, considering South Africa's high unemployment rates and potential impact on vulnerable population. Include the following key requests: exemption for vulnerable population, explore exemptions or alternative identification solution for vulnerable groups, increase of accessibility, improve accessibility to smart ID application centers, particularly in rural areas, ensures public awareness by the launch of public awareness campaigns to educate citizens about smart IDs. Also take into consideration the cost factor, review the cost structure to ensure affordability for all citizens. I move that this motion be adopted by the House without delay. I so move.
Thank you, Honorable Zulu. Do you agree to the motion? With reservations, the motion is duly adopted. Honorable Badenhorst.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby move without notice that this Council congratulates Ward 10 Councillor of the Oeverstrand Municipality, Councillor Theresa Els, for her persistent and principled leadership in championing the call for improved road safety along the R44 through Betty's Bay. Notes that the following sustained engagements by Councillor Els with Ward Committee members, residents, civil society and the Western Cape Government, the speed limit on a dangerous stretch of road, particularly through the commercial centre known as the Hub, and the entrance to the Harold Porter Botanical Gardens has now officially been reduced to 60 kilometers an hour as announced by the ministers on the 2nd of June. Thanks, Western Cape Ministers Tertius Simmers from Infrastructure and Isaac Saleko from Mobility for their swift and diligent intervention based on a thorough departmental investigation and cross-government collaboration. Acknowledges that this decision prioritizes public safety while also enhancing accessibility for residents, pedestrians and tourists in this fast-growing coastal town, and affirms that this outcome is an example of good governance and cooperative governance at work, where local and provincial leaders respond effectively to community concerns. I so move.
Do we agree to the motion? The motion is supported. We're now proceeding to the last motion on my list. Honorable Mokweli.
Thanks very much, Chair Goleboy. Chair, I hereby move without notice on behalf of the gigantic movement, the African Congress, that the Council note with deep sense of sadness the passing of Dr. Silwani, and further notes that Dr. Paris, among others, a theologian, a former member of the parliament, and the former speaker of the mighty Limpopo provincial legislature, acknowledged that the Reverend Parisani was a Lutheran minister who fought apartheid from the pulpit and was arrested for his activism in the Black Consciousness Movement and the Black People Convention, where he was close associate of Steve Bantu Biko, and take this opportunity, Chair, to commit heartfelt condolence to his family, friends, and comrades here and abroad. I so move, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mokweli. Are there any objections? None. The motion is duly adopted. That was the last motion on my list. Honorable members, we are now proceeding. Honorable Nkosi Nonkonyane.
Thank you, Chair. My apologies, Chair. Thank you so much for indulging me. I rise, Chair, on behalf of the African National Congress, inspired by the spirit of the heroes and heroines of our struggle, that this august house, one, knows with sadness, deep sense of loss, and knows with a deep sense of loss and grief the passing away of Major General Andre Licolin, the first bodyguard of former President Nelson Mandela. Further knows that Major General Andre Licolin has served this country and her people with great sense of dedication, distinction, and courage in various capacities. First, as a former member of Umkhonto weSizwe, the People's Army, and in various capacities as a member of South African Police Service. And therefore take this opportunity to express its sense of loss and grief on passing away of this giant, and send its heartfelt condolences to the family of Major General Licolin. I so move. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Nkosi. Do we agree to the motion? The motion is being agreed to. Thank you very much. Well, we do make that discretion at the end if there is any member, if time still permits. Hence, I've granted him an opportunity to present his motion. There's been quite a number of them doing that. Okay, thank you very much. You can ask Honorable Skierkachel, has done that many a times, so he knows very well. Honorable delegates will now proceed to the first and second order of the order paper, which shall be read together. The first one being the consideration of the report of Joint Committee on Ethics and Members' Interests on the alleged contravention of the Code of Ethical Conduct and disclosure of members' interests in the matter of Honorable Ian Cameron, who's the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police. The second one being the consideration of the report of the Joint Committee on Ethics and Members' Interests with regards to the non-disclosure of members' interests for 2024, contravention of the Code of Ethical Conduct and disclosure of members' interests. Accordingly, I now take this opportunity and invite on the podium Honorable Brits, who is the chairperson of the Joint Committee on Ethics and Members' Interests, to come and present the committee's report. He's got 15 minutes to do that.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Honourable members, both reports were ATC'd on the 13th of March 2025. I do take it for granted that you've read the reports in full. It is lengthy reports, so I'm not going to bore you by reading them out. The first report that I present to the Honourable House is only to be noted and for the information of the House, and that is the Joint Committee on Ethics and Members' Interest, having considered the complaint against the Honourable Ian Cameron, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police, and we report as follows. Just basically, Mr. Mzwandile Tio, a member of public, submitted a complaint to the Joint Committee on Ethics and Members' Interest concerning the Honourable Ian Cameron, MP, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police. Mr. Tio was a former Major General of the South African Police Services and the former Provincial Head Crime Intelligence in the Western Cape. The Office of the Registrar of Members' Interests received the complaint on the 11th of February 2025 for an alleged breach of the Code on Ethical Conduct and Members' Interest. There is a summary of the complaint as well as a summary of the response by the member. The provisions of the Code which comes into play is item 2 and 3 of the Code, item 5.1a of the Code, and then item 6.1b of the Code, and very important, item 9 of the Code, which provides as follows. 1, a member must not bring Parliament into disrepute when using, engaging in, or communicating content on social media platforms. 2, a member who is addressing another member or a member of the public on social media platforms must not use derogatory, racist, or sexist language or content that is derogatory, racist, and sexist. 3, a member when using social media platforms may not incite violence or promote hate speech. And 4, when engaging in content on social media platforms, a member may not like, share, or comment on content that is derogatory, racist, sexist, or promotes violence or hate speech in order to promote such content. The committee deliberated on the complaint, and the committee found that the complaint is unfounded and that the member did not breach the Code. Table this for information. Coming to the second report, honourable members, it has bearing on members of Parliament that failed to disclose their interests. The Joint Committee, having considered the non-disclosure of financial and other interest in respect of the 2024 disclosure process, reports as follows. Firstly, the committee wishes to express its concern at the fact that certain members of Parliament did not disclose their financial and registerable interest by the due date. The committee stressed the point that the disclosure of financial and registerable interest is a mechanism designed by Parliament to hold members accountable to the public. The due date for the 2024 disclosure of members' interests was the 14th of October 2024. Of the 454 members of Parliament who are required to submit their disclosures, 9 members failed and or neglected to submit their disclosures by the due date. The following members did not meet the deadline for disclosing their registerable interests. 1, Honourable Solomon Patrick Mabilu from the ANC. 2, the Honourable Mluleki Lelenga from the ANC. 3, the Honorable Nkululeko Hlenga, the Deputy Minister of Transport, member of the IFP. 4, the Honorable Nhlamulo Ndleka, a member of MK. 5, the Honorable Mzoleli Marara, a member of the ANC. 6, Honorable Masecheho Mofokeng, member of the ANC. 7, the Honorable Marupeni Ramokgopa, the Minister in the Presidency responsible for planning, monitoring and evaluation, member of the ANC. 8, the Honorable Sihle Zikalala, the Deputy Minister for Public Works and Infrastructure, member of the ANC. And lastly, the Honorable Andries Nel, the Deputy Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, member of the ANC. In respect of the Honorable Mabilu, the member failed and or neglected to submit a public disclosure by the due date of 14 October 2024. The recommendation by the committee. Firstly, we urge the House to note the contents of item 23 of the code, which provides as follows. The committee, when deciding a penalty to be recommended in terms of sub-items 1 and 2, may take into account the representations of the member, and after considering the representations may impose a harsher or lesser penalty than those provided for in sub-item 1 or 2. This is the first time that the member has breached the code. However, he failed to submit his public disclosure by the due date and also failed to comply with 3 additional times he was requested by the Office of the Registrar to complete his disclosure. The committee therefore recommends to this House that a reprimand in the House and a fine of 12,500 rands be imposed as a harsher penalty contemplated in item 20 sub-item 3 of the code. In respect of the Honourable Lelenga, the member failed and or neglected to submit the confidential disclosure by the due date of 14 October, and therefore the committee recommends to the House that penalty of a reprimand in the House and a fine of 10,000 rand for first offence be imposed. In respect of the Honourable Hlengwa, the member failed and or neglected to submit both a public and confidential disclosure by due date of 14 October 2024, and therefore the committee recommends to the House that a penalty of a reprimand in the House as well as a fine of 10,000 rand for a first offence be imposed. In respect of the Honourable Ndlela, the member failed and or neglected to submit both a public and confidential disclosure by the due date of 14 October. The committee therefore recommends to the House that a penalty of a reprimand in the House and a fine of 10,000 rands for first offence be imposed. In respect of the Honourable Marara, the member failed and or neglected to submit the confidential disclosure by the due date of 14 October, and therefore the committee recommends to the House that a penalty of a reprimand in the House and a fine of 10,000 rands for first offence be imposed. In respect of the Honourable Mofokeng, the member failed and or neglected to submit both a public and confidential disclosure by the due date of 14 October 2024. The committee therefore recommends to this House that the penalty of a reprimand in the House and a fine of 10,000 rand for a first offence be imposed. In respect of the Honourable Ramokgopa, the member failed and or neglected to submit both a public and confidential disclosure by the due date of the 14th of October 2024, and therefore the committee recommends to the House that a penalty of a reprimand in the House and a fine of 10,000 rand for a first offence be imposed. In respect of the Honourable Zikalala, the member failed and or neglected to submit both public and confidential disclosure by the due date of the 14th of October 2024, and the committee therefore recommends to the House that the penalty of a reprimand in the House and a fine of 10,000 rands for first offence be imposed. In respect of the Honourable Andries Nel, the member failed and or neglected to submit both a public and confidential disclosure by the due date of 14 October 2024. The member stated that the acting registrar of members' interest should have communicated with him personally and not via the chief whip of his political party or via the leader of government business. The committee therefore recommends to the House that the penalty of a reprimand in the House and a fine of 10,000 rand for a first offence be imposed. Honourable Chair, I herewith table the report to be considered by the Honourable House.
Thank you very much. You may take your seat. Honourable members, we will now proceed to voting. Before we could vote, I want to allow members, the provinces, to make declaration if there is any province that would like to do so. There are no declarations. We are now proceeding to the voting on the first report, which is the report of the allegations in terms of the contravention of the Code of Ethical Conduct and Disclosure of Members' Interests. I'll start with Eastern Cape.
Chairperson, honourable members, we support the report.
Thank you very much. Free State.
Honourable Chairperson, the Free State vote in support of the report.
Thank you very much. Gauteng. MEC.
Thank you, Chair. Gauteng support.
Oh, thank you very much. I forgot that she's on the platform. Okay. And KZN.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. The province of the first African to receive Nobel Peace Prize as a laurel, Nkosi Mthuli, we support the report.
Thank you very much. Limpopo, Honourable Ndlovu. Oh, Honourable Mukweli is on the virtual platform. We miss you when you are not in the house. We get confused. You're confusing us. Please do come back home. Honourable Mukweli.
No, thanks very much. I'll be coming back into the house, as you always know that I'm always in the house. Chair, without much ado, as Limpopo, we support the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your voice is felt, Honourable Mukweli. I'm used to look at you each time. I always look at you just to check. I've got no one today to look at upon. We are moving to Mpumalanga.
Thank you, Chair. As Mpumalanga, we are supporting the report.
Thank you very much. Northern Cape, Honourable Mabilo.
No, Chair, as the Northern Cape, we support the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Northwest, Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Chair. Honourable Dupi stand for Honourable Sitole. Northwest support the report.
No, I'm gonna be the deputy speaker of NA. All the members on the virtual plus platform, I'm just gonna shut them off, all of them, because they're disrupting me. Honourable Badinos.
Thank you, Chair. The Western Cape will support.
Thank you very much. We are now okay. Honourable members, the voting has closed, and accordingly, all 9 provinces have voted in favour of this report.
and accordingly, the report in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution is duly adopted. Thank you. We are now proceeding to the next report that has also been tabled by Honorable Brits. The report is the report in relation to the non-disclosure of members' interests for 2024, contravention of the Code of Ethical Conduct and disclosure of members. Once again, I would like to call upon provinces, if there is any, to make the declaration. None. Thank you very much. We are now moving to the next, to the voting. Accordingly, I would request provinces to vote. I will start with Western Cape.
Thank you. We'll support.
Thank you very much. Honorable Mabilo.
Re a leboga modulasetulo ra itega report ena.
Thank you very much. Northern Cape, Honorable Medupi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Northwest support.
Thank you very much. Mpumalanga.
Thank you very much, Mpumalanga support.
Thank you very much. Limpopo.
Honorable
Kwele.
Modulasetulo re Limpopo re thekga report e le mo pele ga rena. Re a leboga.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kaunda.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Njengesifundazwe esobe sihosta i-combat marathon kuleli sonto on Sunday. Siyawuseka lo mbiko ngazo zonke, siyabonga.
Thank you very much and all the best. Honorable Mananiso.
Thank you, Chair. Gauteng supports the report.
Thank you very much. Free State.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. The Free State vote in favor of the report.
Thank you very much. Eastern Cape.
Nesihlalo namalungu abekileyo iphondo lengcwele nalo liyanqwala.
Thank you very much, Nkosiami. Accordingly, the voting has closed, and honorable members, once again, all the provinces unanimously voted in favor of this report as it was tabled by the chairperson of the committee. That then takes us to the next order of the day, which is the debate that was sponsored by MK Party, which shall be opened by Honorable Mukwena, which we are debating under the theme, People to the People, Confronting Corruption and Delivering Sustainable Solutions to End South Africa's Energy Crisis. And I call upon the first speaker on my list, Honorable Mukwena. You've got 20 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The topic is Power to the People, Confronting Corruption and Delivering Sustainable Solutions to End South Africa's Energy Crisis. I would like to greet my party president, Jacob Zuma, who was phenomenal during his time as the president of the country in this very section.
You are misleading the House.
Honorable Chair. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, South Africans are tired of excuses, tired of empty promises. They are tired of living in a country where darkness, both literally and metaphorically, has become the norm. The electricity crisis gripping our nation is more than just a technical issue. It is a crisis born of deliberate choices, systematic failures, and unchecked corruption. Today, as we debate this critical topic, I appeal to every one of you and ask you to reflect on what kind of legacy are we wanting to leave behind for future generations. Let us begin by acknowledging the truth. Eskom, once the pride of our public enterprise, has been brought to its knees by years of mismanagement and corruption. Load shedding is not just a sign.
Honorable Chair.
Honorable Mokoena, you can take your seat. What is your point of order, Honorable Badenhorst? On which rule are you rising on?
Will the member take a question?
Honorable Mokoena, are you prepared to take a question?
No, Chair, just that he must reflect on the truth that I'm about to speak.
Unfortunately, she's not prepared to take a question. You may proceed, Honorable Mokoena.
Thank you. Load shedding is not just a sign of broken infrastructure. It is a symptom of broken governance. It disrupts homes, stalls businesses, and puts our most vulnerable citizens, our elderly, patients in hospital, and learners in constant peril. But beyond the blackouts, another kind of darkness lurks. A darkness fed by greed, a darkness fed by self-interest, where public funds meant to power our nation instead line private pockets, as we have seen in recent times. Honourable members, corruption lies at the heart of South Africa's electricity crisis. The recent revelation surrounding Mulilo are a damning indictment of the ANC's failure to safeguard public resources. This company, co-founded by Jan Oppenhauser, Eskom's former COO, has secured a contract worth 375 million rands over 15 years. A contract awarded by the very institution he used to control. It's not a mere coincidence. It is the same old ANC doing ANC ways. It is yet another chapter in their legacy of enabling corruption. And to reaffirm this, just yesterday, the very Minister of Electricity and Energy very heartwarmingly defended this. He claimed that there were necessary steps to address the crisis. It was published in the Times newspaper, and his excuse were as predictable as insulting. Let us ask the hard question: how does a man move from managing Eskom's finances to profiting from its contracts within months? How does the government justify awarding billion rands of contracts to companies that are tied to former executives? How do you live with yourself? How do you sleep at night? And it is not just Eskom. We see billions wasted on failed projects like Medupi and Kusile, tenders awarded to politically connected cadres, and a deliberate lack of investment in renewable energy. And then they'll blame ex-presidents when it is actually the current president and its government that is doing all the worst things. They are a part of a larger systemic betrayal of the ANC. Honourable members, the energy crisis is not just about cities plunged into darkness. It is about the forgotten communities. We as the National Council of Provinces, our job is to look after for our provinces. It is communities like Greytown, where families live without reliable electricity, unable to preserve food or power schools. In Dutwa communities, where they've been waiting for years of promises of electrification to materialize, and the ANC dololo. In Tohoyandu, load shedding disrupts a small business trying to rebuild a fragile local economy. Lusigisi, students are crying and studying by candlelight at times because they are robbed of their future because of failures of ANC and its government. In Zwelicha, pensioners are suffering as power cuts are part of their daily lives. In Guyani, water pumps fail because of power outages, leaving communities without basic necessities. In Gandla, where power cuts deepen the struggles of rural households. Mthatha, residents feel forgotten as rolling blackouts stretch in hour after hour. In Kuma, our poor children walking along distances of schools with no lights on to power learning equipment. In Bloemfontein, small corporates trying to empower women are stalled by unreliable energy supply. In Sekhukhune, rural clinics are forced to operate without power, risking the lives of mothers and newborns. In Makana, residents are forced to use unsafe alternatives for lighting, increasing fire risks in informal homes. In Rustenburg, some informal settlements, people use paraffin stoves still at this day because of the poor ANC, with poor service. This is the reality of South African under the ANC. These are the communities left behind. These are the voices we must amplify. The MK party sees you. We stand by you. We fight for you. We refuse to let these communities be forgotten. The GNU failures have plunged you into darkness, but we will work tirelessly as the MK party to bring light and hope back to you starting in 2026 when we win all the municipalities without fail. For every village, town, and settlement that has been betrayed, we say to you, enough is enough. We see you. Honorable Chairperson, accountability is not just a buzzword. It is a necessity. It is something that the ANC and this GNU has avoided for a very long time. It is time to pack up your excuses. It is time to stop looking at me like you do not know what I'm talking about. The MK party demands immediate answers and action. We need auditing of the IPP contracts, starting with the very Mulilo. The people of South Africa deserve to know how these contracts were awarded and who is benefiting. We need forensic investigation of ESCOM leadership, expose the web of corruption that has brought this institution to its knees. The minister defending these contracts yesterday was not speaking for the people. He was defending a system that benefits the elite while the poor suffer. It is time for this House to say enough is enough. Honorable members, we cannot simply dismantle corruption without offering a vision for the future. And we, as the incoming government, a strategy that is people-centered, a strategy that is transparent, a strategy that is sustainable. One, we want to diversify energy sources. We want to prioritize renewables like solar and wind with fair and open procurement processes. We want to strengthen infrastructure, modernize our grid, and reduce outages and accommodate new energy sources. We want to empower our citizens, abantu. We want to incentivize households and businesses to adopt green technologies, reducing dependence on this poor ESCOM. Transparent oversight. We want us to establish a citizen-led task force to monitor all energy projects and to hold this very government accountable. This is how we build a resilient energy future, by putting people beyond profits. Honorable members, the ANC and the GNU, well, the prime leaders of this GNU, have failed us over and over again. ANC has betrayed South Africa once and again. This governing party, entrusted with the hopes of a nation, has turned its back on its people yet again. People who believed in its promises. The light may flicker in our homes, but in the halls of power, corruption shines brightly, illuminating the greed and the arrogance of those who have grown comfortable with stealing while nations suffer. The ANC's legacy, in fact, the GNU's legacy, is written in rolling blackouts, in crumbling infrastructure, and in the anguished cries of rural communities left to fend for themselves. They have squandered the trust of a nation, and they dare to defend the indefensible. A minister who justifies awarding billions to companies with ties to former executives, they are not serving the community or our people. They are enablers of theft. To the ANC, to the DA, to all the members of the so-called GNU, we say this: your time for excuses is over. The nation sees you for who you are. Parties that are more invested in protecting corrupt elites than uplifting our people. And to the people of South Africa, we say, hold this GNU accountable, make them account, demand better because you deserve better. We in the Umkhonto Party will never stop fighting for you. The ANC may have given up on you, the GNU may have given up on you, but we never will. Together we will end the darkness, together we will bring back to power to the people. Not just electricity, but power of hope, power of dignity and accountability. We say enough is enough. And in the upcoming elections of 2026, we will show you once again, because this time our votes will not be stolen. We will make sure that people receive the services that they deserve, the services that they stand in the lines to queue and vote for. They will get it from this party. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Mokoena. Good afternoon, honorable members, ladies and gentlemen. We now move on to the Honorable Modise from the African National Congress in Gauteng. Honorable Modise.
Chairperson of the Council, Honorable Ryder, the Chairperson of the session, honorable members and the people of South Africa. Chairperson, today's debate is dedicated to Mr. Siphe Seamule, a volunteer at the Lanasia Magistrate Court. I'm told that Mr. Seamule has been a volunteer at this court for more than 10 years. Even though Mr. Siphe Seamule has done a paralegal course and is able to assist both the South African Police Service and Justice Department with, amongst many, J7, J49, J70, and J39. Please don't ask me what they mean. Whilst assisting members of the public with information on court state, trace court state, and court procedure, as well as vested in the following SAP finance system, integrated management system, electronic case management system, Justice Department accounting system, and Moja Pay. Mr. Siphe Seamule is still unemployed. Ever since Mr. Siphe Seamule started volunteering more than a decade ago, to date, he has never been involved in corruption, even though he's unemployed. What is more, what is it that Mr. Siphe Seamule must do in order for Justice Department to realize the talent and honest potential employee that they have in Mr. Siphe Seamule? Chairperson, the topic we are debating today is certainly important and for the development of the country and its people. No modern society can develop without permanently ending load shedding and providing security of electricity supply. Indeed, South African economy is energy intensive and was developed through electricity supply by ESCOM. At the onset, it needs to be made known that the ANC in the 6th Parliament, and even now, does not merely seek to end load shedding, but seek to end load shedding through increasing generation capacity beyond the current demand to ensure that there's a sufficient electricity to generate economic growth and fuel job creation. Now, having a myopic view on ending load shedding without increasing generation capacity does not help economic development through infrastructure expansion and job creation. However, there are a number of assumptions in the topic which requires commenting on. One, that there should be power to the people. It's amazing. It should have been extremely obvious for the proposer of the debate that there is power to the people in the African National Congress. Every 5 years, the African National Congress goes to its national conference to renew its policies and elect new leadership. And to date, leaders have come and gone, and the ANC is still here. Like in some political parties, that continues to appoint leaders and refer them as SGs and TGs and so on and so forth, whereas they carry no mandate from any conference or their membership. Same with these others who continue to elect one person over and over and over because of the fear of the party demise should they elect differently. In the past, Apartheid deemed it not necessary to provide African households with basic services like electricity and water, and the African National Congress government sought to correct the historical injustices of apartheid through providing these services throughout the country. In addition, in many social housing projects, government has provided solar water heating to reduce demand while providing poor and the working class households with hot water. This reduced the cost of electricity to those poor and working class households, and during this financial year, 96% of households will be electrified. The other 4% will require off-grid solutions as the transmission grid will not work in those areas such as the Valley of the Thousand Hills in KwaZulu-Natal, Honorable Mokoena. Moreover, there has been years of neglect of coal-fired power station in terms of routine maintenance. Chairperson, we're going to be told here by those wearing combat as a fashion statement, without any force or combat number or name, by those who can't even shoot water gun, and spitting on the graves and sacrifices made by those that knew what it meant by wearing a combat under the regime of terror in Pretoria. They are going to tell us that under President Zuma, ESCOM showed healthy financials, but they are not going to tell us that it was to the detriment of the functioning of the plants as they were not maintained. Reality is that coal deliveries to ESCOM plants were hijacked, and quality coal was replaced by the hijackers with a poor quality, which impacted on the unplanned breakdowns of the units. They're not going to tell you that. This resulted in a number of arrests and prosecution, and this information is publicly available. And Member Mokoena is a member of the committee, and she knows these things. ESCOM, like Transnet, was also negatively affected by the state capture and corruption, which was one of the subjects at the Zondo Commission of Inquiry. This resulted in the breakdown of governance and financial controls in the entity. There were serious allegations of corruption in terms of procurement, which the SIU is still investigating, and my colleagues will come and explain much better. However, what should be clear is that the ANC government in the 6th Parliament has initiated those investigations, and they are still continuing up until today.
Chair.
The development of Medupi.
Mr. Modise, won't you take your seat, please? Honorable Mokoena, on what are you rising?
Thank you, Chair. I'm wondering if the honorable member is willing to take a question from me.
Mr. Modise, would you like to take a question? You would. Yes, please proceed with your question, ma'am.
Right. I would like him to clarify which was the which governing party it was in the areas that he's talking about of the failures of ESCOM. Thank you. Just clarify for us.
Thank you, Honorable Mokoena. Honorable Modise, over to you to reply and then continue with your delivery. Thank you.
The ruling party was the African National Congress, led by President Jacob Zuma. Chairperson, over time, there has been an attempt by Umkhonto Zuma party in both houses of parliament to divorce President Jacob Zuma from the challenges and successes of his tenure.
Sorry again, Mr. Modise, please take your seat. Mr. Zulu.
Chair, thank you very much. Can the honorable member take another question?
I'll say
Another question for you, Mr. Modise. Yes, he's engaging
Thank you
today.
very much, Chair. Honorable Mdise, bekayithatha aphi mandate to President Zuma? Bekayithatha aphi mandate?
There you go, Honorable Modise, a short question.
Chairperson, every 5 years, the ANC goes to conference. And the resolution of the conference in renewing the policies of the ANC becomes the guiding tool for any sitting president of the country under the ANC. The mandate came from conferences. Hence, I'm saying to you, and I want you to listen to me, Makeb. Chairperson, over time, there has been an attempt by Umkhonto Zuma party in both houses of parliament to divorce President Jacob Zuma from the challenges and successes of his tenure. The attempt seeks to suggest that anything wrong is a result of the ANC, and anything right was President Zuma's ideas. That is wrong and fallacy and myopic in its character. We all know how much the ANC went out of its way to protect President Zuma when he was the president of the country. And as he was mandated by the National Conference, let it put it categorically clear that the history and legacy of President Jacob Zuma is in the ANC. And that Mshika party of his is a retirement plan and a money-making scheme for himself and his children. That is why President Jacob Zuma can remove anyone without any founding member of MK party, without any consultation. So that as much as he did yesterday, without worry, even though some of the members seated here today can be removed today or tomorrow.
Another interruption, please, if you wouldn't mind taking your seat. Mr. Nzimande, on what are you rising?
No, Chair, we did not want to disrupt your meeting, but he must be guided that you don't attack the integrity of a person. Thank you.
On which
I think that's points of order.
Oh, guys.
Honorable Nzimande, the rules of the House are clear. Sitting members of Parliament receive protection in this House. For the rest, there's no such protection. Mr. Modise, please continue.
That's why President Zuma can remove a founding member of his Mshega party with those who just joined yesterday without any worry. Even some of the members seated here today can be removed by tomorrow. Floyd Shibambo is now redeployed to Parliament. He has been relegated from being a deployer to a deployee. Just like the late leader of Inkatha Freedom Party, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi requested that his coffin be draped in the ANC flag. So will President Zuma.
Mr. Modise, again, another interruption. Please take your seat. Honorable Mokoena, on what are you rising now?
Chairperson, I want clarity. Is this about Zuma, or is it about energy crisis? We are getting very confused.
Mokoena, Mr. Modise is not yet a minister. You don't have an allocation of 6 questions today. So I think you've used your quota of questions. Mr. Modise, please continue.
Chair.
Mr. Zulu.
Yes, Chairperson, thank you very much once again. Can the honorable member assist this House? What is the meaning of Mshika party?
Now, honorable members, I think that frivolous questions will not be entertained. I don't think you also haven't asked permission to ask the question. So please take your seat. Mr. Modise, please continue, and I trust there'll be no further frivolous interruptions.
Thank you, Chair. Just like the late leader of Inkatha Freedom Party, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, requested that this coffin be draped in the ANC flag, so will President Zuma very soon. Because he understands fully that not everything that he has done in this world will just go down the drain. I know and understand very well that Umkhonto Zuma party members in this House are not comfortable and will not be accepting this sad reality. Because to them and many others in both houses, being a member of Umkhonto party is a meal ticket and not to service the people of the Republic of South Africa. The value chain of electricity supply industry is a capital intensive, from supply of feedstock to generation, transmission, and distribution. In essence, this is a capital intensive, high volume and low margin business. Therefore, within the context, there can never be any quick fix solution, nor any instant solutions. It is a process. Decisive measures which have been taken have over a short period of time started to bear fruit. Eskom is currently the only supplier of electricity in the country with a power purchase agreement with IPP suppliers of renewable energy. In this regard, we all agree that Eskom plays a critical role as it supplies the base load of country's electricity demand. This occurs largely through coal-fired power plants, but the country's high demand is also met through hydroelectric power and nuclear energy, as South Africa's large demand cannot be met from a single source of supply, even if the bulk of demands come from the coal-fired plants. The NC government, during the 6th Parliament, took decisive measures in terms of 6-point plan to end load shedding. And these decisive measures are being implemented and are starting to show results. Eskom itself has taken decisive steps in terms of restoring plant viability through its 9-point maintenance plan and has increased maintenance of its older generating plants while attempting to ensure that Medupi and Kusile can generate maximum capacity. This is still ongoing, given the flaws of Medupi and Kusile that left the sector with deficit in financial and supply terms. However, through increased maintenance, the NT2 was able to move from all-time low energy availability factor of 48% to now operating at 68%, which is able to finance through its own financial resource to the value of 20 billion per annum over the next 3 years. Government developed the ESCOM roadmap for reformed electricity supply industry, approved the plan to restructure ESCOM into 3 operating divisions, Honorable Nzimande, its generation, transmission, and distribution, under the holding company, which is Oscom Holdings. The restructuring has occurred with creation of 3 divisions with its own set of accounts under holding company. The National Transmission Company of South Africa is busy attempting to develop a transmission grid to expand electricity supply through bringing the new renewable energy generated by IPPs to the market. This is an indication of the 6,000 megawatts of IPP currently supplied. It is critical that while we understand the decisive steps which government has taken to end load shedding and restore ESCOM as a going concern, that we equally understand the necessity of increasing generation, transmission, and distribution capacity. And I thought Member Mokoena will know these things. The implementation of medium-term development plan and microeconomic development through the district development model demands an increase in generation, transmission, and distribution. Load shedding has been caused through increased electricity demand, which exceeds supply. This is largely the result of poor performing plant economic growth, as well as the national electrification program rollout since 1994. At the same time, government recognizes the need to increase generation capacity through promoting the development of green energy through renewable energy projects developed by independent power producers. Inclusive economic growth and job creation have been critical elements of government policy through beneficiation. Local industrial development and load shedding needs to be resolved, but generation capacity must be increased to enable inclusive economic growth and job creation. The aim of African National Congress is not merely to take decisive action to end load shedding, thereby ensuring power to the people, but also to ensure that generation, transmission, and distribution capacity is increased to ensure beneficiation, local industrialization, SMME development can occur in all provinces. Corruption, Member Mokoena, must be dealt with by the full might of the law. The National Prosecuting Authority must be resourced with skills to effectively deal with corruption. However, corruption does not determine our sole focus, but rather transformation through creating a better life for all. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Modise. Honourable members, we now move on with the debate, and the next participant will be the Honourable NCOP from the Democratic Alliance.
Thank you, Chairperson. It's been a while since you had the opportunity for one of my lectures. Honourable Chairperson, honourable members of the House, and most importantly, as always, my fellow South Africans, good day, goeiedag, tobela. Today's proposed debate topic, authored by the MK Party, is so poorly constructed that one wonders whether they even realize it contains 2 entirely separate debates. One on corruption, the other on the energy crisis. But since they've opened both doors, I will walk through them both. As Honourable Modise ended his speech with corruption, I will start it. Chairperson, corruption is what keeps our people poor and desperate. And as the government of national unity, we must confront it wherever it rears its ugly head. The Zondo Commission report stands as the epicenter of all that has gone wrong with South African politics. Yet to this day, we are still waiting for even one meaningful arrest beyond the former disgraced President Jacob Zuma. The Democratic Alliance remains hopeful that the National Prosecuting Authority will bring closure to this dark chapter in our democracy. But no conversation about corruption is complete without discussing accused number one, Jacob Zuma, the proud leader of the MK party, an ex-convict who served time for contempt of court, now leads a party in parliament. Only in South Africa can a convicted criminal and an impeached judge, John Slope, be held up as political leaders. These are the faces of the MK party. One removed from the bench for gross misconduct, the other removed from the office by the ANC themselves. And yet, MK now demands constitutional amendments while openly attacking the very foundation of our democracy. Chairperson, anything they say today can and should be dismissed with contempt. But let us not waste this opportunity, honourable members, on outrage alone. This debate also demands solutions, particularly to the crisis affecting every household and business, the ongoing energy crisis. Our energy woes are a direct result of a failed government monopoly, Eskom. Let me be clear, the disease cannot be the cure. Entrusting Eskom alone with our energy future is not only naive, it is reckless. The private sector already holds the solutions. Through public-private partnerships, policy reform, and support for independent power producers, we can bring real stability to the grid. Investors are ready. Multinational companies stand prepared to build and deliver clean, sustainable energy. But what is stopping them? Red tape, bureaucratic inertia, political cowardice. We are not advocating for reckless privatization, colleagues. We are calling for long-term lease agreements, open infrastructure access, and for the private capital to complement the state, not replace it. Another urgent challenge in our grid infrastructure is the actual lines that carry electricity across the country. Whether to newly developed suburbs or growing rural communities, we are falling dangerously behind. Chairperson, I was shocked when I heard the estimates. 440 billion rand is needed to build our new infrastructure lines. 440 billion rand, colleagues. I want that figure to sink in. Even if we build all the power plants we need tomorrow, we simply do not have the grid to carry it. And we do not have the tax base to fund these grids. The only viable path forward is through national and international investment structured through transparent, well-governed PPPs that will allow us to fix the grid and ensure we do not fail our people. Let's discuss generation for a moment. In Limpopo, my home province, right now, a European company has proposed a 6 billion rand solar project. It would bring jobs, energy, and hope back to the region. All they need is a simple one-page no objection letter from the SANDF to continue. That letter has been pending for 240 days. One page, 6 billion rand investment, thousands of jobs, and yet nothing. While we wait, we burn diesel and tell South Africans to switch off their geysers. This is the kind of red tape that must be cut if we are serious about change. And solar is just one part of the solution, Chair. Nuclear energy should be part of the future as well, diversifying the energy mix to the point that it is clean, safe, and reliable. The time to invest in nuclear is now. Delaying it further would be a grave mistake we will one day regret. Chairperson, Eskom has spent billions keeping diesel turbines running. That is not a plan, that is a panic. And it cannot continue while practical solutions are left on the table. We are not short of options, we are short of political will. If this GNU truly wants to lead with integrity that delivers results, we must embrace innovation, investment, and infrastructure sharing. This is our opportunity, not just to keep the lights on, but to create jobs, attract investment, and put South Africa on a path for sustainable growth and inclusive growth. Let us not waste this, colleagues. Thank you. Baie dankie. Siyabonga.
Yolo Bocha, thank you very much to the member from Limpopo. Ladies and gentlemen, taking the debate forward, the next participant will be the Freedom Front Plus representative from the Northern Cape, Honourable H.J. van den Berg.
Chairman, confronting corruption will lead to a conducive environment, indeed, giving power to the people. But the people will also receive municipal services, water, jobs, safety, and security. Corruption, like many other, like a cancer, eats away at the members and organs, leaving the body weak and unable to heal itself. In order to succeed at corrupt activities, you need, as the saying goes, in order to succeed at the activities, you need, as the saying goes, two to tango. In some instances, criminal groups with no morality is destroying our country. And we will have to play a role to change the moral fabric of society. There is no honor in gangsterism, and it should be frowned upon. Chair, first, we must rebuild trust through radical transparency. Every rand spent by Eskom or any other state-run entity must be tracked, audited, and reported online in real time for all to see. We have to deepen our digital footprint, as this will lead us to a transparent government. Yes, no more shadowy deals or inflated contracts slipping through the cracks. Let's empower citizens to hold those in charge accountable. Imagine an app where transactions can be tracked at power stations, right down to the cost of the last broom and light bulb. Second, we have to invest in microgrid renewable energy. Imagine a solar panel on every roof. We've also seen how independent power producers can deliver. Let's scale it up fast. Third, we have to heal our land. And this means holding those caught in corruption responsible and putting them in jail. We must tackle corruption head-on, not with expensive, long-winded inquiries that write reports and collect dust. No, we need special corruption courts, independent, swift, and ruthless in prosecuting those who steal from our future. We should be prosecuting whistleblowers. We should not be prosecuting whistleblowers, protecting them. And no one should be above the law. On 23 June 2021, News 24 published findings made by the Institute of Chartered Accountants, titled State Capture 101. They estimate that 1.5 million rand has been lost to corruption between 2014 and 2019, and that some of our elected leaders continue to steal from the poor, hungry, sick, and dying. These words from Bonang Mohali, the Chancellor of the University of the Free State. With that amount of money, indeed, there could have been a solar panel on every house, and all public infrastructure projects would be completed in time and in good working order. We should focus on uniting South Africans, black, brown, white, urban, rural, young, all around a shared goal of no corruption, service delivery, safety and security, and reliable, affordable energy for all. We don't need to tear down to build up. We don't need to dwell on historical grudges while we can focus on creating jobs, powering businesses and lighting homes today. And government should not continue with racial transformation through discrimination. If we want unity and blessings, citizens should have a corruption-free government. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Honourable van der Berg. Honourable members, it's now the turn of the Chief Whip of the National Council of Provinces. So we call to the podium, the Honourable Sithole. Honourable Sithole.
There is no sound on the visual platform.
We are working on it, Honourable Mokwele. Thank you.
We cannot discuss ESCOM challenges without acknowledging the devastating effects of the state capture, which cripple the utilities operation, undermine governance, and erode public trust. The looting and mismanagement of ESCOM resource left a deep scar, but we are determined to heal them through concrete steps against inefficiency and corruption. Honourable Mokoena here, you must go and ask Ubaba that why are we in this situation? Because he cannot put us in a situation like this and send you to come and look for answers from us. I am proud to report that the Special Investigation Unit has made a significant breakthrough in implementing the state capture report recommendation, holding those responsible to account and recovering stolen funds. These efforts are critical in cleaning up the shortcomings and the state capture administration and restoring ESCOM's integrity. Honourable House Chair, in recent months, we have witnessed promising development highlights the government's success in delivering sustainable energy for our nation. As a country, we have experienced only 14 days of load shedding in 2025, a stark contrast to the relentless outage of the past. Factories operate at full capacity and families enjoy a consistent electricity supply. Honourable Chair, nobody should fake amnesia or become very selective in remembering things. And we must give praises where it's due and not come here and act as if we don't know where we come from. ESCOM's revival signifies much more than just an increase in megawatts or the implementation of technical solutions. It represents a profound restoration of dignity among South African citizens. This revival is pivotal in unlocking significant economic potential that has long been hindered by unreliable electricity supply. Moreover, it reaffirms our unwavering commitment to work tirelessly and with profound dedication to deliver reliable energy sources that facilitate a brighter and more prosperous future for all. The journey towards a more sustainable and prosperous tomorrow is not solely about energy production. It is about empowering communities, fostering innovation, and creating job opportunities. Honorable House Chair, ESCOM's research is a vital to realizing a shared vision of development and a brighter future for every South African. We say this because we know that ESCOM remains the cornerstone of our electricity infrastructure.
Before, won't you take your seat, please? Honourable member on the platform, is that a point of order or just a disturbance? In the absence of a response, I must take it that it's a disturbance. Honourable members on the platform, there have been 5 disturbances arising from the virtual platform during this speech alone. I must ask you, please, if you choose to remain on the platform, please maintain your discipline. If we find you interrupting, you will be placed in the waiting room until further notice. Thank you very much. Chief Whip, please continue your speech.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Honorable House Chair, ESCOM researches in vital to realizing a shared vision of development and brighter future for every South African. We say this because we know that ESCOM remains the cornerstone of our electricity infrastructure, supplying 90% of South African essential base load power. This substantial contribution signifies not just a mere provision of electricity, but the unwavering and reliable power that sustain our critical industry. Including manufacturing, mining, and transportation, these sectors are vital to the nation's overall economic health. In contrast to renewable resources, which are often influenced by unpredictable natural conditions such as sunlight and wind, ESCOM coal facility play an indispensable role. They provide the robust backbone that support our entire energy grid, ensuring a steady supply of power around the clock, regardless of weather condition or resources available. This reliability is crucial for maintaining the functionality of everyday life and the long-term growth of South Africa's economy, as it allows industries to operate without the risk of interruption caused by energy shortage. Honorable House Chair, we are embarking on a transformative journey involving the comprehensive implementation of a robust recovery plan across all our power stations. This initiative, grounded in meticulous 9-point strategy, aims to revitalize maintenance efforts and ensure a sustainable energy future. Together, we'll rise to the challenge and secure the reliability of our power supply for generations to come. As a current power supply will be complemented through new generation capacity from nuclear, gas, and hydroelectric power, as well as the IPP generated renewable energy. The government is committed to successfully completing our new build project, focusing on finalizing Medupi and Kusile while diligently addressing legacy defects. We are also extending the lifespan of Kuburg nuclear power station, ensuring a diversified and resilient energy mix. As announced by our President Cyril Ramaphosa, in 2025 State of the Nation address, new dams are planned to generate new hydroelectric power. Honorable House Chair, the energy availability factor is one of the most significant indicators of our advancement. From a concerning 48% in 2022, we have elevated this figure to an impressive 68% today, a 20-point improvement that translates to 4,000 megawatts being reintegrated into the grid, enough to power the entire city of Cape Town. Power stations such as Kusile, Kendal Majuba, Letabo, and Peking Station have reported an EAF of 70%, with 3 other exceeding 60%. This progress stems from accelerating maintenance partnership with original equipment manufacturers and the dedication of ESCOM workforce. The narrative surrounding Medupi and Kusile embodied our collective progress. We acknowledge that boiler systems designs flaws led to a year of underperformance, but today, in partnership with experts, we have made a significant breakthrough in resolving these issues. Honorable House Chair, our strategy to eliminate load shedding is built on key pillars: reducing reliance on costly emergency power, now used only as a last resort; enhancing grid capacity to expedite the integration of independent power producers and clean energy; ensuring financial stability through debt restructuring and stringent accountability measures; and implementing procurement reform to combat corruption, support local businesses, and improve efficiency. This multi-pronged approach reflects our commitment to a stable energy future that remains a unified national effort to secure a lasting supply of reliable energy of our people. While the journey ahead remains intensive, our path is unmistakably defined. The revitalization of ESCOM is a collective national endeavor requiring the dedication of all stakeholders. We have come a long way, but there is still a room for growth. As the ANC, we are committed to ensure that the entire energy system is capacitated. We fully support the SIU corrective measures to root out corruption and restore good governance. Those who have engaged in procurement corruption must be charged, and the law must take its course. The continued light we experience are unmistakably indicators of our significant progress in the energy management and infrastructure. Extended duration without the inconvenience of load shedding are clear reflection of the efficacy of our dedicated effort and initiatives. Our power stations that previously faced numerous challenges and setbacks have now transformed and are effectively demonstrating both reliability and efficiency in their output. This remarkable achievement is not merely a stroke of luck or a happenstance. It is a direct, well-earned product of strategic planning, diligent hard work, and unwavering commitment to excellence by all involved parties. It is a testament to what can be accomplished when we focus on resources and efforts towards a common goal.
Thank you, Chief Whip. I'm afraid your time has expired.
Thank you very much, Honorable Host.
Thank you, Chief Whip. Thank you to the acting Chief Whip. Honourable members, the next speaker represents the Patriotic Alliance in the Western Cape. It's the Honourable BJ Farmer. Honourable Farmer.
Honourable Chairperson, honourable members and fellow South Africans, open quote, "We have to strengthen the relationships with organised business so that we continue growing the South African economy." This was said by President Jacob Zuma when he closed the 52nd conference of the ANC in Polokwane on 20 December 2007. The same man who gave us load shedding and state capture. It's an honor to address you today as we confront one of the most pressing challenges of our time, the intersection of governance, corruption, and South Africa's ongoing energy crisis. Our nation does not suffer from a lack of resources or technical capability. Rather, we suffer from a deficit of accountability. Systemic corruption has destabilized our energy infrastructure, obstructed sustainable development, and deepened social and economic inequalities thanks to the Zuma era and state capture. At the heart of this crisis, our colored and marginalized communities remain disproportionately affected, forced to endure unreliable electricity, economic hardship, and lost opportunities. Ons het nie 'n energiekrisis nie, ons het 'n korrupsiekrisis. Terwyl ons gemeenskappe in duisternis gedompel word, het wanbestuur en selfverryking openbare hulpbronne geplunder. Miljoene rande is vermors op kontrakte wat nie lewer nie, terwyl entrepreneurs, studente en gesinne die prys moet betaal. Dit is nie net 'n ekonomiese ramp nie, dit is 'n morele mislukking. Dit is tyd dat ons korrupsie ontbloot en werklike verantwoordbaarheid afdwing. For the first time in years, South Africa has seen over 20 consecutive days without load shedding. This progress is a testament to the resilience of our people and the urgent need for reform. However, we must not be complacent. Our energy system remains fragile, and without decisive action, we risk slipping back into crisis. While accountability must be our priority, we cannot solely focus on exposing corruption. We must also build sustainable energy solutions. The future of South Africa's power sector requires bold, decisive action grounded in 3 key principles. 1, diversified and decentralized energy generation. 2, public-private sector collaboration. 3, energy efficiency and modern infrastructure. The Patriotic Alliance stands firm in its commitment to the eradication of corruption, decentralizing energy production, and ensuring that all South Africans, especially marginalized communities, benefit from a transparent, sustainable, and equitable power system. Our vision is clear: economic justice, community empowerment, and governance that serves the people rather than political elites. This is not simply a policy recommendation, it is a national imperative. South Africa cannot progress if its people are trapped in darkness by mismanagement and corruption. Our commitment must be unwavering to dismantle exploitative practices, rebuild the resilient energy sector, and safeguard our communities from further harm. Let us move forward with unity and purpose. Let us reaffirm that governance must serve the people, and that political power like electricity must never be concentrated in the hands of a few. We stand at the turning point, and together we will illuminate the path toward integrity, innovation, and progress for all South Africans. May we move forward with resolve, knowing that true power, both political and electrical, must serve the people. Muni Baizani, salute.
Thank you, Honourable Farmer. Honourable members, we now go to the Eastern Cape, and the UDM's representative from that province is the Honourable Peter. Honourable Peter.
Manbulisa Chair Sihlalo wendlu, ndibulise kumalungu alendlu ahloniphekile. The power to the people. Abantu umbuzo umile ngubani na umsunguli wale ntlekele sikuyo namhlanje. Abantu baphucwa amandla, baphucwa ubuntu, baphucwa ukuziqonda, baphucwa impilo. Amandla okuphila asekusebenzeni, awukho umsebenzi. Amandla okuphila asemanzini, awakho amanzi. Amandla okuphila asekutyeni, siza kuthenga ngantoni ukutya singaphangeli. Konke oku angekhe amandla ombane kube lula ukuba zingekho zonke ezi zinto. Speaker, Ukonzakala kwesizwe kumhla sonzakaliswa lurhwaphilizo olwaqhambuka kumzi ekuphehlwa kuwo umbane. U-Eskom wabe urhulumente ejongile. Kwabikho miphumela kubarhwaphilizi, i-consequence management ukutsho ke. Umbuzo, ngubani na umsunguli wale ntlekele sikuyo namhlanje? Namhlanje sigqwale emswaneni, Speaker, uqhawukile ujinga abantwana bedlala, siyophisa isizwe, abenzi boku bathwesa amawonga, kodwa ngabo abenzi bobububi. Ityala lobuqhophololo norhwaphilizo lwabenzi bobubi namhlanje lihlawulwa ziimpula zikalujaca. Ngokungenalusini nalusizi, umxakatho ubekwe phezu kweentloko zabemi beli lizwe. Umbuzo, ngubani na umsunguli wentlekele esikuyo namhlanje? Mandigqwathule kulwimi lwasemzini. The SIU told Scopa that 1 billion has been looted by staff cooperating with managers, and there are almost 2,000 cases of fraud and corruption registered on behalf of Eskom. The question, who is the initiator of the damage that we are experiencing today? The depth of this crisis is captured by the shocking accounts of former Eskom CEO Andrew Rader. He described how good coal was certified at the mine, but replaced in transit with poor quality discard coal. Drivers were paid 5,000 per load to be part of the scheme. The question, who is the initiator of the damage that we're experiencing today? Eskom ended up burning coal so poor that Andrew Rader said, we were trying to burn rocks. Those rocks damages the boilers and the mills caused leaks and led to costly repairs. Due to the terminal stress, drivers would receive payments without even offloading fuel, costing 100 millions per month up to 1.2 billion a year. The question, who is the initiator of the damage we're experiencing today? But, Honorable Speaker, we cannot stay stuck in the darkness of what was. We must now look forward. The time has come to fix and wipe the tears of the people of South Africa who doesn't afford to buy electricity due to the high cost of it. South Africa was downgraded for the first time ever. South Africa was looted for the first time ever in our history. The question, who is the initiator of the damage that was experiencing today? I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Peter. Honourable members, now representing the Western Cape Democratic Alliance, we call on the Honourable Paul Swart to come and take the debate forward.
Colleagues, you are muted this side on the platform.
Thank you, Honourable Mananiso. We have alerted
Not
Simon
for
Vij-
progress, but for state capture, for mismanagement, and the hollowing out of many state-owned enterprises, most notably Eskom. Billions were lost. Good engineers were pushed out and replaced by loyal cadres, and the system that once powered Africa's strongest economy was brought to its knees. We cannot build the future by recycling the failures of the past. Every act of corruption is a power cut to the people. When maintenance is neglected, communities suffer. When dodgy coal deals signed, clinics and schools go dark. When tenders are rigged, the poor pay the price. When load shedding becomes permanent, economic growth stalls and joblessness rises. Chairperson, we must confront corruption with the same urgency as we do load shedding. This must include implementing the Zondo Commission recommendations without delay, strengthening procurement systems with transparency and integrity, and holding every official, past and present, accountable for stealing from the people. But accountability alone won't fix our grid. We need sustainable solutions, and they exist if we only have the political will and courage to implement them. We as government must open the energy market fully to independent power producers, support and empower capable municipalities to generate and procure their own electricity. Invest seriously in renewable energy, not just to follow global trends, but to create local jobs, reduce emissions, and build long-term resilience. And urgently establish an independent electricity management operator to oversee a fair, transparent grid. This is not theory. This is already working in the Western Cape, where clean governance is matched with clean results. In Cape Agulhas, where the two oceans meet, we work tirelessly to protect basic services, even under resource strain. And in Beaufort West, where I now serve as the political head, the message from the people is clear. They want results, not rhetoric. They want working lights, warm homes, and functioning clinics, and no more endless excuses. Chairperson, I've seen with my own eyes what is possible when committed officials, backed with honest leadership and supported by communities, decide to act. That spirit of accountability and innovation must reach our national government. Power to the people must not be a political slogan, but it must be a shift to transparent governance, a shift to decentralized energy decisions, where local governments are empowered and not ignored, a shift to real political accountability, especially from those who still carry the scars of guilt of the Zuma era. We cannot allow electricity policy to be a playground of outdated ideologies or political point scoring. This is about survival. This is about dignity to all the people of our country. In townships and small towns, young people are giving up hope. Load shedding is not just an inconvenience. It is a barrier to learning, to working, to dreaming. A generation is being robbed of its future because of years of neglect and denialism. We need to bring the light back permanently, Chairperson, not only to our homes and businesses, but to our people's hearts. Chairperson, let us not confuse shouting and fighting with leadership. True leadership builds, it does not burn. It connects, it does not divide. It delivers, it does not delay. As Nelson Mandela reminded us, it always seems impossible until it's done. Let us apply the same courage, the same vision, and that same resilience to end the energy crisis, not by defending old failures, not by blaming the past while walking its shoes, but by putting people first and power where it belongs. Let us light up this once beautiful nation, not just with electricity, but with honesty, with innovation, and with action. From the forgotten alleys of Maritzburg to the lighthouse of Cape Agulhas, to the classrooms of Malinkosi, South Africans are not asking for miracles. They are asking for leadership. They are asking for action. They are asking for DA light. Let us deliver power to the people in word, power to the people in light, and power to the people in truth. I thank you, Honourable Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Swart. Finishing with half a second to go. Thank you very much indeed. Honourable members, we now go back to the Umkhonto we Sizwe party. The representative from Mpumalanga, though he tends to veer towards KwaZulu-Natal, the Honourable Zulu.
Can't see you. You must behave. You are next to me. You must behave. How much time do I have, Chair? Or 9 minutes? Revolutionary greetings to President Zuma in Council. Whether you like it or not, he was the most progressive state president in this country of the Republic of South Africa. Leadership of the MK party in all levels, Honorable House Chairperson, honorable members, fellow South Africans, good afternoon. The speech we just heard from Honorable Mokoena, our commander as MK party in this house, laid the reality South Africans face every day. A reality of despair fueled by government incompetence and unchecked greed. But today's debate is not just about diagnosing the crisis, it is about demanding justice for millions of citizens who are being betrayed by those entrusted to serve them. We are here to demand answers and accountability from the ANC-led government, whose governance has turned hope into frustration and potential into crisis. The people of South Africa deserve better, and it is our duty to amplify their voices in this House. Honorable members, the energy crisis is no accident. It is a direct consequence of the ANC's inability to lead responsibly. Mismanagement, nepotism, and a blatant disregard for transparency have transformed the ESCOM from a once thriving public utility into a national embarrassment. Consider this: the staggering delays and cost overruns at Medupi and Kusile were not just engineering failures, they were governance failures, tender irregularities, inflated contracts, and kickbacks were the order of the day. These projects, which should have symbolized the progress, now stand as monuments of corruption. And it is not just ESCOM. The contracts awarded to independent power producers, such as Mulilo Rig of conflicts of interest and unethical practices, where the former CFO of ESCOM profiting from contracts issued by the very entity he once managed. This pattern of revolving doors and sweetheart deals has become the hallmark of ANC's government. Let me be clear, honorable members. Corruption at this level is not a victimless crime. It steals resources from the public, plunges millions into poverty, and cripples the economy. It is a betrayal of a very ideals upon which our democracy was built. Honorable Chairperson, every day of load shedding cost our economy billions of rand, and it forces businesses to close their doors, discourages investment, and drives unemployment to unbearable levels.
Meanwhile, the governing party sits back, offering empty promises and unconvincing excuses. How many jobs must be lost before the ANC acknowledges its role in this crisis? How many small businesses must collapse before government takes responsibility? The economic toll of load shedding is not just numbers of balance sheet, it is the shattered dreams of millions of South Africans who are desperate for change. Honorable members, listen to this and listen very attentively. While we expose the failure of the ANC, we must also chart the way forward. The MK party believes that South Africa's energy future can be and must be brighter. To achieve this, we propose the following steps. Immediate suspension of questionable contracts. Every contract, including those involving independent power producers, must be reviewed to ensure fairness, transparency, and value for money. Decentralization of energy production, empowering municipalities and private citizens to generate their own power will reduce the strain of ESCOM and promote energy independence. Support for local innovation by investing in South African companies and researchers. We can develop homegrown solutions that reduce our reliance on imported technology and foreign firms. Public accountability mechanism, establishing a public-facing energy task force to oversee ESCOM operations and ensure that the government's commitments are met in a timely and transparent manner. Honorable House Chairperson, welcome. Today's debate must be a turning point. It is not enough to acknowledge the crisis. We must act decisively to end it. And ANC's failure have left this country in darkness. But South Africans are resilient. They are ready for leaders who prioritize their needs over personal gain. The MK party stands ready to lead that charge. We will fight for justice, for transparency, and for an energy sector that serves people, not the political connected. The question now is not what went wrong. We know the answer to that. The question is, will this House rise to the occasion and demand the change that South Africans so desperately need? Honorable members, the time for excuses is over. Honorable members, the time for excuses, it is absolutely over. The time for real change is now. Let us return power to its rightful owners, the people of South Africa. I thank you very much.
For 2 minutes. Thank you, Honorable Zulu. Honorable Zulu, next time you address the members through me, please, because they'll respond back to you. All right, without further ado, thank you, Honorable Zulu, for welcoming me. I'm very comfortable where I'm seated. The next speaker on the podium is going to be Honorable MEC Mamabulo from Gauteng, Maboneng. You are welcome.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Let me acknowledge the chair of the NCOP as well, who was here with us. Let me also acknowledge and greet the entire leadership of the NCOP. In advance, I know the minister is going to address us. Let me also greet him, all the MSCs, the premiers, everybody any councillor, everybody listening to the debate, let me greet the people of our country and, of course, the province. I'm deeply honored, honorable members, to represent Gauteng provincial government, led by our Premier, Honorable Panyaza Lesufi. And let me also just indicate that upfront would like to dedicate this debate to the youth of our country as we will be celebrating June 1976, and of course, further acknowledge and looking forward to the delegates that represented us in the Congress of the People as we'll be celebrating the 70th anniversary of the Freedom Charter. Now, honorable members, let me just indicate that I think the inputs that have been made by honorable members are acknowledged, but most importantly, the debate as led by Honorable Modise and Honorable Stole, our acting chief whip, I think they have both and very eloquently demonstrated progress that has been made by our country to ensure that the delivery of energy, electricity supply, and of course the fight against corruption are being adequately addressed, and remarkable progress has been made. And I think for that, I would like to applaud them for the excellent content that they've put to the motion, and of course, their inputs that I think will play a very important role in restoring confidence in the work that our country is doing in the provision of this very important resource. And I would like to thank them. But let me also, Chair, just indicate that when one looks at the motion that has been presented and tabled, it is deeply concerning just to understand what exactly is the purpose and the objective of this motion, and what does it really seek to achieve, and how does it seek to help the people of our country and to restore the most needed confidence in global and local investors that are critical to help us grow the economy, create jobs, reduce the multi-dimensional aspects of poverty, and make sure that we can improve the quality of lives of the people. You'll agree with me, honorable members, one has had the opportunity to participate in many debates in this House, but I must say one is deeply concerned that this motion is definitely not taking us forward, and I thought as the House, we should consider dismissing this motion and rejecting it as it's not serving any purpose. For example, even the member that presented the motion and the party that debated it, you can clearly see that they themselves are not so clear about what should constitute the content of the motion they have provided. We are very confident, honorable members, that the minister will definitely reaffirm the point that has been made by both Honorable Modise and Stole, and I think we should agree with them that since Honorable Minister Ramokgopa was appointed as Minister responsible for electricity and energy, our country is seeing remarkable progress be made in the consistent supply and delivery of energy and electricity. When we say this, honorable members, we do not mean there are no challenges. But we think, as Honorable Stole advised us, let us give credit where credit is due, and let us appreciate the good work that the Honorable Minister is doing. And I think for that, the Minister deserves an applause from this House for the good work that is being done. Continuing to project our country in the manner that some members in this House are doing, as if there has not been remarkable progress being made and the matters being addressed, I think that is pulling down our country. And I think we should call on all members to unite in promoting and boosting the necessary confidence, not based just on sentiment, but I think it's important that we embrace the good work that the Honorable Minister, the team at ESCOM are doing to make sure that we can deliver consistent energy supply, electricity that is critical to grow our country and the economy. So debating this matter in the old, outdated, obsolete way is not going to help us. Let us open a new chapter, unite the people in our country to make sure that we can install and instill the necessary confidence to grow our economy, create jobs, reduce poverty, and of course, inequalities, but also most importantly, make sure that we improve the quality of lives of the people. Now, having listened to Honorable Stolle and Honorable Modise, let me say that in our province, honorable members, we have established in partnership with ESCOM and City Power a very good partnership that is represented in the Intergovernmental Relations Committee that is convened and chaired by the Premier and the mayors and all the members of the mayoral committees. We meet every week in our province to assess progress made in making sure that we can deliver this very important to the people of our country and the province. We have also partnered with City Power, and we have actually allocated about 1.2 billion to make sure that City Power can be correctly repositioned to improve service delivery in respect of energy and electricity to the people of our province. I'm very much pleased to announce that, led by our Honorable Premier Panyaza Lesufi, we have actually rolled out in partnership with ESCOM a very good program to install transformers, provide people with transformers across the province who have not had energy and electricity for a very long time. And this was achieved because we worked together with ESCOM as partners, and not the breaking of ranks, finger pointing, and some of the negative statements that are being made here, but fostering partnership, working together as the ANC teaches us. We have made good progress in our province. I'm also pleased to inform members in the House that we have also another ITR committee supported by the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Honorable Majodina. It is attended by the Premier, the mayors, where we look at water supply. And we have coined a very good concept of the water energy nexus. And on this again, honorable members, we appreciate the role that ESCOM is playing in fostering partnership and working with us to make sure that we can provide water and energy together to the people of our province. I'm also pleased to just indicate that just last week, we had a difficulty in Mfuleni where a substation was bent down, and I want to inform members, we're deeply pleased by the swift and prompt response by the team from ESCOM that came and worked with us to make sure that we can resolve this issue. And tomorrow with the mayor of Mfuleni, we will be visiting the site to check progress. And once more, we want to acknowledge and appreciate the role that ESCOM, led by the minister, is playing in improving the conditions of our people as it relates to energy supply. We are also pleased, honorable members, that working with ESCOM, we have also installed solar, green and smart solutions to empower the people of our province, and we have made remarkable progress in this regard. We also want to say to the honorable members, and of course to this very important house, that as taught in this house, we believe only by working together, planning, budgeting, and of course working within the principles of the district development model and the profound principle raised by this house of 3 spheres of government working together, only in that way can we make sure that we support energy, electricity supply to improve and grow the quality of life of our people. The African National Congress correctly says and teaches us that ANC lives, ANC leads, long live ANC, and we are looking forward to the input of the minister. And only on this basis, we are quite positive our country will move forward. Let us call on all members to be positive about our country and refrain from trumpeting negative messages and restore confidence in the country. Let us move forward, honorable members. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable MEC. The next speaker on the podium is going to be Honorable Kennedy. from Limpopo, the province of Baobab Tree. She's online. Honorable Kennedy, I'm going to count to 5. If after 5 it does not, you don't materialize, I pass. 1.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you, Honorable House. Greetings to the Minister. Honorable Chairperson, the economic freedom fighters takes this opportunity to once again reaffirms its commitment to fighting corruption and championing the cause of transparency at all levels of government. We are resolute in our belief that public office is a responsibility to serve the people, uphold the rule of law, and manage resources with utmost integrity and prudence. We have since inception consistently voiced our commitment to combating corruption at all levels of government, as corruption is a major impediment to South Africa's progress and economic development. Our core ideology revolves around economic freedom, and we believe that corruption at any level hinders this objective. As the EFF, we therefore believe that fighting corruption and alleviating the energy crisis, transparency, and accountability are crucial. This involves promoting open government initiative, strengthening whistleblower protection, and ensuring that contract and tender process are fair and free from undue influence. Implementing these measures can help prevent corruption, improve energy sector management, and ultimately lead to a more sustainable and reliable energy supply. In implementing such transparency measures, we are of the view that government agencies should strengthen oversight bodies and ensure robust legal frameworks with penalties for corruption. And that multifaceted approaches are needed to address some of the energy crisis sustainability, focusing on renewable energy sources, grid modernization, and energy efficiency. This includes the acceleration of deployment of solar and wind power, implementing energy storage solutions like batteries, and exploring waste to energy technologies. As such, in the EFF, we were saddened but not surprised by the return of load shedding last month, as this government has consistently failed to provide a steady and reliable supply of electricity, proving once again that they are incapable of solving South Africa's energy crisis. It is evident that the supposed load shedding free periods were nothing but a manufactured illusion to create a false sense of progress in energy stability. As the EFF, we have long warned that this GNU government has no real intention of resolving the energy crisis. Instead, it is clear that they are paving the way for the eventual privatization of the electricity sector, ensuring that South Africans will never have peace when it comes to energy security. They continue to fail in managing ESCOM efficiently, whilst allowing independent power producers and private companies to dictate the future of energy supply in the country. This is a well-orchestrated scam aimed at ending a few at the expense of the majority. Honorable Chair, as a country, South Africa has abundant solar resources, making it a prime candidate for solar power generation. This includes
both large-scale solar farms and the encouragement of rooftop solar for household and businesses. We are therefore saddened by Eskom's ongoing struggles, which have resulted in relentless load shedding, plunging entire communities into darkness for extended periods of time. This has crippled small businesses, disrupted livelihoods, and placed a huge strain on essential services like hospitals and water treatment plants. The EFF has consistently maintained that the challenges faced by Eskom are a direct result of years of ANC-led mismanagement, corruption, a lack of investment in renewable energy sources. And we have long advocated for the nationalization of electricity sector and terminating contracts with power producers. But our calls have been met with deaf ears. And despite failure to supply electricity equitably, Eskom and the National Energy Regulator of South Africa, NERSA, have no shame in consistently approving exploitative tariff hike. We know this to be true, as just last year, in September 2024, Eskom sought an outrageous 66% multi-year tariff escalation, with a proposed 36.15% increase for 2025 alone. Although NERSA reduced the request, it still approved a burdensome 24% increase, forcing South Africans to pay more for a service that remains unreliable. This follows a cumulative 33.77% increase in 2023 and 2024, further burdening struggling households and businesses. As the EFF, we reaffirm today that the resolution to South Africa's energy crisis does not lie in increasing tariffs for an unreliable service or in privatizing electricity supply. We therefore demand an end to load shedding and load reductions and equitable distribution of electricity across all communities and a rejection of any attempt to privatize Eskom. Eskom should not even be a profit-making entity, but simply be playing a developmental role in our economy, ensuring that energy is sufficient to necessitate the running of our country. The people of South Africa should not be held hostage by a corrupt and incompetent government that prioritizes profit over the well-being of its citizens. As the EFF, we believe in a state-led approach to investment in energy sector rather than relying on private sector participation. The energy crisis can be tackled through a combination of increased supply, reduced demand, and a transformation of the electricity sector. Key strategies would include accelerating the development of renewable energy sources like power and wind, improving Eskom's performance, and promoting energy efficiency measures. As we know, corruption undermines trust in government and disrupts the effective implementation of energy policies. By improving institutional quality, implementing anti-corruption measures, and upholding the rule of law, South Africa can create a stable and predictable environment for investments in the energy sector. Not forgetting that Corruption Watch emphasizes the importance of openness and transparency in the energy sector. Eskom as the state-owned electricity utility needs to improve its existing supply availability. This involves addressing inefficiencies in power plant operations and improving maintenance practices. South Africa needs to transform its electricity sector to achieve long-term energy security and sustainability. This includes improving the grid infrastructure, modernizing power plants, and developing new energy storage technologies. It should also invest in energy efficiency measures to reduce overall energy consumption. The EFF government, as outlined in our manifesto, seeks to consolidate generation, transmission, and distribution into a single entity, expanding its capacity for consistent, dependable, and affordable electricity distribution, and to diversifying the energy mix, incorporating clean coal, gas, and nuclear and renewable sources to ensure energy security and decarbonization. Finally, Honorable Chair, the EFF urges citizens to remain vigilant and to report any instances of abuse of power and misuse of public funds, as it is through collective effort and active citizenship that we can safeguard our democracy and ensure that justice is administered without fear or favor. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Kennedy. The next speaker on the platform is going to be the Minister of Energy and Electricity, Honorable Ramokgopa. He is online. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and thank you very much for the opportunity. Let me extend my warm and sincere greetings to members in the House and also fellow South Africans that are watching. I thought that it would be useful that I situate the conversation within the context of the three priority areas of the 7th administration. We have agreed on three key priorities. The first is the creation of jobs and growing the economy. The second one is to ensure that we fight poverty and reduce the cost of living. And the third one is to ensure that we build an ethical, capable, and developmental state. All of these priorities, Chair, are predicated on the electricity that is available, that is affordable, and that is also environmentally sustainable. We have accepted that electricity and logistics are some of the structural constraints that are undermining the ability of the economy to grow and therefore stunting our ability to achieve the developmental agenda that we have set for ourselves. And it is in this regard that we have placed the resolution of load shedding as one of the major interventions of the 7th administration, building on the excellent work of the 6th administration. The resolution of load shedding and ultimately achieving energy security finds expression in the Energy Action Plan that was unveiled by President Ramaphosa in July of 2025. The Energy Action Plan, House Chair, has got 5 outcomes. The first outcome is to ensure that we are able to fix ESCOM. And I'm happy to say that in this regard, on the back of the fiscal support to the tune of 252 billion rand over a period of time, we've been able to improve the energy availability factor, moving it from 48% at the time that the EAF was introduced, and now it's averaging, as I speak to you, over 63%. So that's a phenomenal improvement, and that explains why we've been able to achieve a solid 300 days plus of no load shedding. It was not an accident, but it was orchestrated on the back of the execution, the clinical execution of the Energy Action Plan. And then the second outcome of the Energy Action Plan is to ensure that we accelerate private sector investments. What have we done in this regard? Private sector investment in new generation capacity. What have we achieved in this regard, Chair? First is to ensure that we are able to truncate both the licensing and permitting periods, principally the approvals in relation to environmental impact assessment and also the water use license. I'm happy to say that we've been able to bring the period of those permitting and licensing to below 50 days. And it is our intention, Chair, to even reduce those periods of approval to less than 30 days. And then the other major interventions we've made to accelerate private sector investments is to ensure that we have in place a wheeling framework. A wheeling framework is none other than a third-party transportation of electricity. What that does is that it enables, if you like, a private sector market where you have a private sector developer of new generation transacting with a private sector off-taker of that generation capacity using the municipal and or ESCOM infrastructure, so we're able to standardize the rules. What we have achieved on the back of this is that we have seen that there's an insatiable appetite of private sector investments to the tune of about 66 gigawatts of private sector sponsored projects at various stages of the project pipeline. And then the third outcome of the Energy Action Plan is to ensure that we accelerate the public procurement of a new generation capacity, and this is codified under what we colloquially refer to as the bid windows. In the context of that, in order to ensure that we introduce objectivity and we're able to protect the integrity of that procurement process, we then enacted what we call the Independent Power Producer Office, which will be principally responsible for procurement of new generation capacity. And since the introduction of the IPPO House Chair, we've been able to run about 10 bid windows. And the last bid window is the one that we announced on bid window number 3. And the sponsor of this motion, Honorable Mokoena, makes the point that ESCOM is the one that adjudicated on this procurement. I want to state this categorically. ESCOM can be a player and a referee at the same time. So ESCOM is nowhere close to procuring of a new generation capacity through the bid window process. And the generators are also not participating as at the process, at the stage of evaluating. They are simply participants. It is only the Independent Power Producer Office, which is also located outside the ministry, who are incubating it at the DBSA to ensure that we're able to achieve a degree of transparency, objectivity, and accountability in the manner in which we procure. So I want to dispel the myth that ESCOM is the one that procured this new generation capacity on battery storage. And then the second point to be made is that the 9.7 billion rands of bid window number 3 is the total investment that is made by the entities that are participating in the bid windows. So it's not money that is dispensed by ESCOM, but essentially it's in building that capacity. And of course, on the back of us receiving that generation capacity during peak periods, we are able to pay for that. So I really want to make the point that ESCOM is in no way involved in this process of procuring. But I want to state the following for the record. I have written to the chair of the portfolio committee on electricity and energy, asking that she occasion an opportunity for the Independent Power Producer Office, the NTCSA as the buyer, to come and lay bare the facts around the bid window 3. And the point I want to make really is to ensure that we engender this transparency, we are able to protect the integrity of this process. And to the extent that any member of the House has got any information or any member of the public that he or she wants to bring to the attention of the ministry, we are open to that. Like I said, we are going to make this public and as requested, and as it has been the case, the elements in relation to adjudication, the scoring will be made public so that we are able to protect the integrity of this process. And to the extent that we are able to find any malfeasance, will be the first one to take action in that regard. And then the fourth intervention that we have made in relation to the Energy Action Plan is to ensure that we accelerate the rollout of rooftop solar solutions. And I'm happy to say, House Chair, that on the back of that, we've got over 6,000 megawatts of generation capacity that is installed by businesses, both large, small, and also households. And that is helping us to ensure that there's what we call behind-the-meter intervention, and we're able to make interventions on the demand side. So as we reduce demand, there's less pressure that is placed on the grid, and therefore Eskom is able to meet the demands of the peak and the requirements of the Constitution. And this has also been enabled by incentives that were introduced by the Minister of Finance to ensure that we incentivize the rollout of rooftop solar solutions. And the last of the Energy Action Plan outcomes is to ensure that we are able to separate transmission from generation and also distribution. I'm happy to announce that the National Transmission Company of South Africa now is a legal entity standing on its own, and this is a significant achievement in our quest to reform the industry so that we are able to unbundle the tariff. The point has been made that we've seen an exponential increase in the electricity tariff. To put that into context, the electricity tariffs have increased by over 600% over the next 10 years. It's an untenable situation. There is no economy that can absorb that. Households' experiences, lived experiences, significantly deteriorated as a result of the increased cost of electricity, less disposable income, and many of the households are finding it difficult to meet their daily requirements. And that's why it is important that we must unbundle the tariff and make it more transparent. But what are we doing now going into the future? So I was just giving you a small account on the achievement we've made against the Energy Action Plan. The first one is an admission that we need to expand and modernize our grid. Our own calculations suggest, Chair, that we need to expand it by over 14,000 kilometers and still modernize it. And the point was made earlier on by the member of the GA, Mr. Honorable PLENARY, that we require something in the order of magnitude of 440 billion rand. Now, clearly the fiscal matrix has deteriorated, and that's why we're grappling with a budget that whose revenues can't support the expenditure. So we can't overburden the sovereign balance sheet. The Eskom balance sheet is also very weak on account of both objective and subjective reasons. What have we done so far, Chair, is that we have introduced a bespoke financing solution. We are introducing a credit guarantee vehicle which will serve as a backstop. And then we're going to concession about 3 packages of these lines. They are going to give us 3,200 megawatts. We're building about 1,160 kilometers of new lines, all of them financed by the private sector. The second intervention on what ought to be done, I'm happy to announce that we will be finalizing the grid access rules to ensure that it's on a non-discriminatory basis, that if there's private sector investments that are going to invest in new generation capacity and they want to access the grid, the rules are clear, transparent, and predictable for all, and everyone gets to be treated equally and no favor is extended to anyone. The third one is that we're introducing what we call the distributed grid. These are interventions that we're making in far-flung rural areas where it's very expensive for us to roll out the backbone infrastructure. It's got an impact on the cost of electricity. We're harnessing our renewable energy endowments. We're pairing both battery and solar PV, and we're able to deliver to these poor households. Our target, Chair, is to connect 1.59 million houses in the next 4 years, and we're confident that we should be able to achieve that. Then the fifth area is to ensure that we are able to address the debt to Eskom, debt to municipalities. I mean, many of the municipalities are liquid their own an inordinate amount of money. We've introduced what we call the distribution agency agreement, where we're capacitating municipalities with the properly qualified engineers who are able to map the entire value chain do scenario planning, the growth of consumption, support the infrastructure that will be able to support projected demand, so that, and then ensure that municipalities are able to collect their money, they become liquid, and they are able to redirect and reinvest that in other aspects of their business. We have already started the provinces, municipalities in Limpopo, the Free State, the Northwest, who are expanding across the country. And in the course of doing that, we'll also be addressing and resolving load reduction, which is afflicting in the most disproportionate fashion poor communities. Will be introducing, bringing in new infrastructure to ensure that we have load reduction. We will be accelerating rooftop solar solutions while introducing a financing instrument that will make it possible for the poor to also access this technology of battery and solar. And then we're creating this fund to support the ability of poor households to access this financing. On the back of all of this, Chair, will be localizing manufacturing so that we're able to introduce new skills, get people into employment, contribute to the National Revenue Fund, grow the economy, and make ourselves energy resilient. And number 9, we have achieved the long-term operation and extension of Kubek Unit Number 1, an extension of 20 years of the life of Kubek Unit Number 1. We are in the course of getting the license for Unit Number 2. As I mentioned earlier on, nuclear is part of the mix going into the future. And I must say that they were also working with high-intensity electricity users to ensure that they benefit from a regime of a pricing dispensation that will make the cost of production cheaper, so that we're able to ramp up manufacturing in the country. So as I've mentioned, we welcome this debate, we welcome this conversation. Electricity and energy are a key part of the developmental agenda, and we'll continue to subject ourselves to scrutiny, but most importantly, ensure that we power the South African economy. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for highlighting the achievements and the challenges which were faced by the country and the strides which were made. Thanks a lot for participating in this debate. The next speaker on the platform is going to be Honorable Badenhorst from the Western Cape, the Cape of Storms.
Honourable Chairperson, honourable members, and my fellow South Africans, good day. Good to be here again. And just like Honourable Zulu welcomed you, Chairperson, to the chair, I'd like to welcome you all to the city of Cape Town. The only city metro out of 8 metros that got a clean audit once again from the Auditor General. So welcome to the city of Cape Town. But let's get back to today's roasting of the MK party. Oh, did I say roasting? Sorry, it's a debate. But how ironic is it that a party would sponsor their own roasting in this house? And it would have been hilarious if it wasn't so insulting, honourable members. Let's not beat around the bush here. And I'm using the term bush because it seems like some of the MK members think Parliament is a bush, and that's why they're wearing camouflage. One could only wonder what they're trying to hide from and who they're trying to hide from. But anyway, let's carry on. Is it not ironic that the very man leading the party sponsoring this debate, Jacob, accused number 1 Zuma, is not just associated with corruption at Eskom, he was also the chief architect of the corruption at Eskom. Under Jacob Zuma's presidency, and let me remind you, honourable members, Eskom was hollowed out by state capture. The Guptas, Zuma's personal friends, looted the entire entity through corrupt contracts, coal deals, and dodgy tenders. They didn't do this behind his back, the Guptas. They did this with his blessing. In fact, they did it from the Saxon World Tribune. We all remember Anoj Singh and Matsela Koko, Zuma-era appointees who oversaw more than 14.7 billion rand flowing to Gupta-linked companies like Tegeta and Trillion. Eskom even helped the Guptas to buy a coal mine they couldn't afford. Remember that, 659 million rand prepayment. This was, by the way, enabled by none other than the then Group CEO of Eskom, the Honourable Brian Molefe, current MK Party Member of Parliament. That one seat, honourable members, in Parliament cost the South African taxpayers 14.7 billion rand, which happens to be half of the Molelo tender which Honourable Mukuna referred to. The only difference is the Molelo tender is going to contribute 2,000 megawatt to the South African power grid. What did Honourable Molefe contribute? Honourable Molefe's contribution to Eskom was turning the lights off while the looters cashed in. If incompetence were an energy source, he alone could power a small province on his own. But alas, all he generated was debt, darkness, and dodgy deals. These are not sustainable solutions, honourable members. It's grand-scale looting. So when Zuma's NK party tells us it wants to end the energy crisis, we must ask, is this the same crisis you created? The same Eskom you crippled? Yeah. The same corruption you orchestrated. You might as well go and ask a fox to chair a meeting on chicken coop security. Zuma's fingerprints are all over the load shedding we endure today. His meddling in board appointments, interference in procurement, and push for an unaffordable nuclear deal with Russia nearly drove Eskom and our country off a fiscal cliff. Quite frankly, the MK party sponsoring this debate is like an arsonist lecturing the fire department on fire safety. But Chairperson, South Africans aren't fooled. The only thing more unsustainable than our energy crisis is the hypocrisy on display here today. If the MK party is serious about solutions, it should start by calling for its own leader to stand trial and not stand at some podium somewhere. He should be redeployed to prison. Did you hear me say redeployed? Chairperson, if we are serious about ending the energy crisis, we need solutions grounded in accountability, competence, and competition. We must open the grid, unbundle Eskom, allow municipalities to procure power independently, and end the monopoly that serves only to protect political patronage. The DA is doing this where we govern. In fact, City of Cape Town announced today in a press release that they've just, in their own power plant, which build PV solar panels in Atlantis, have just reached the 2,400 PV panel mark. Their target is another 10,000 for the end of this month. Well done, City of Cape Town. That's putting your money where your mouth is and not talking about plans about power like other parties do the whole time. So yes, Honourable Mukuna, please go and read Rule 61B, because that's applicable to most of the half of your speech that you made here today. The other half you left here on the podium because you didn't use all your time. You probably didn't have enough to say. Honourable Zulu, yeah, act decisively, he says. Like you have decisively redeployed certain of your Secretary Generals, 5 of them in the last 2 years. So yes, honourable members, let's confront corruption. But let's not confront corruption by handing the microphone to those who wrote the manual on corruption. Thank you very much, Honourable Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Badenhorst, for your input. We also appreciate your welcome here. That welcome is welcoming us in the Cape of Storms. We appreciate that. Also, at the same time, I'd also like to welcome the Chief Whip. I'd also like to welcome the Chief Whip of the DA, who's in the public gallery there. Let's just give him the rousing welcome of the NCOP. All right. So thank you. I see your hand is up, Honorable Mpepeto.
No, just take him back to school so that he will have a proper pronunciation of redeploy, not re-employ.
All right. All right, thank you. Honorable Telekes, I think that was on the lighter note. Let us now go to the other speaker who's going to take the platform. is Honorable Patrick Mabilo from the Northern Cape, the home of the Ochrabis National Park.
Thank you, House Chair, Acting Chief Whip, all honorable members, Minister Dr. Ramokgopa, MEC Mama Bolo, Bagecho Tumelang. For far too long, our country has suffered the devastating impacts of load shedding, suffering that is remnant of state capture and maladministration at ESCO, an unacceptable reality that has limited economic growth and tested the patience of citizens. We are all aware of the negative impacts that everyday South Africans had to deal with as a result of load shedding. It will be amiss on my part, Chair, if I don't mention the fact that in a decisive effort to fix the technical mess that the former state president, Jacob Zuma, has caused to this country and administration, a legacy of corruption created through the hollowing of state institutions. The sixth administration had to devise critical strategies to blend innovative methods of energy production, incorporate renewable energy, and ensure that there is a continuous energy mix. Today, we can evidently see that the grid has stabilized. In a nutshell, the Energy Action Plan is working. At heart of our strategy lies a fundamental recognition that solving our country's energy crisis requires a balanced, multidimensional approach in terms of our Independent Power Producers Program, which stands as one of the most successful interventions, having brought over 6,330 megawatts of new generation capacity online through private sector investment. The Honorable Chair is doing so with the overall aim of ensuring that reduction in the overall price of electricity is realized. As the ANC, we have recognized that these projects represent the vanguard of our energy diversification efforts, incorporating cutting-edge renewable technologies that position South Africa as a leader of Africa's energy transition. However, we must be clear-eyed about the physical electricity generation. While solar plants typically operate at 25 to 30% capacity, electricity generation when solar, due to diurnal and weather patterns, also affect the efficiency of energy generation. This is why, Honorable Chair, ESCOM remains indispensable as the backbone of our electricity system, currently producing over 90% of the national baseload requirements. Honorable Chair, the sixth administration of Parliament devised a recovery approach, which we are in the midst of experiencing the fruit thereof, its labor as a country while in the GNU. Our five-pillar recovery strategy has been carefully designed to address every facet of the energy crisis. The first pillar focuses on accelerating IPP integration while modernizing our grid infrastructure. We are removing bureaucratic obstacles that have delayed private power projects with particular attention to strengthening transmission networks in renewable-rich areas like the province that I come from, the Northern Cape. Concurrently, we are implementing a 254 million debt relief package for ESCOM, not as a blank check, but as part of a stringent financial restructuring that imposes rigorous accountability measures and anti-corruption safeguards. Honorable Chair, this financial intervention is already bearing fruit, with the utilities balance sheet showing marked improvement enabling critical maintenance and infrastructure investment. ESCOM is turning the corner. We are on course. The physical rehabilitation of our power stations constitute the third pillar of our strategy. At Medupi, 3 of the 6 units are now fully operational after we rectified design flaws in the boiler systems and during the delivering of the project. 2,400 megawatts of reliable capacity has been delivered. With regard to Kusile Power Station, we have seen Unit 1, Unit 2 successfully synchronized to the grid, with Unit 3 in final commissioning when complete with further increased generation. Honorable Chair, with regard to the capacity of Medupi and Kusile, we are impressed about the progress thereof. These 3 units alone will contribute a total of 2,4 megawatts, 2,400 megawatts, with the full plant ultimately providing 9,600 megawatts. Perhaps our most significant engineering achievement has been the life extension of Kuber Nuclear Power Station up to the year 2044. Following the meticulous replacement of steam generators in Unit 2 and a comprehensive safety upgrade. This 20 billion investment safeguards 1,860 megawatts of clean, reliable baseload power and preserve our nuclear skills base with hundreds of young engineers trained through programs. The 4th pillar addresses the urgent need to sustainable, cost-effective energy solutions. While ending load shedding remains our immediate priority, we are equally committed to reducing the cost of electricity generation over the medium term. Our Integrated Resource Plan 2023 provides for a balanced energy mix that includes scaling up renewable energy through bid window 7 of the IPP program, developing gas-to-power projects as flexible, dispatchable capacity investing in battery storage solutions, and exploring next-generation nuclear technology and green hydrogen. This diversified approach ensures that we are not replacing one form of energy dependency with another, but rather building a resilient system that can adapt to technological advances and climate imperatives. Honorable Chair, underpinning all these efforts is our 4th pillar, which is human capital development and institutional reform. We have established specialized training academies to produce new generation of power engineers with particular focus on nuclear, renewable energy, and grid management skills. At the same time, we're implementing fundamental governance reforms at ESCOM, including the legal separation of generation, transmission, and distribution business to improve efficiency and transparency. The Special Investigating Unit Chair continues its vital work to recover stolen funds and prosecute those responsible for state capture looting, with over 4 billion already recovered and several high-profile cases before the courts, fighting crime and corruption in concrete terms. Honorable Chair, what I'm referring to are a tangible program and steps that have been taken by government to ensure that ESCOM is viable and is able to sustain itself in terms of its core mandate. Is to ensure that ESCOM improves from dilapidating state it was in under state capture. Let us address the facts, Honorable Chair. State capture indeed was a setback. While other honorable members may have forgotten what has happened during state capture, history has no blank pages. We all know who enabled state capture and under whose watch state capture succeeded. The economic implication of energy recovery cannot be overstated. Stable energy supply has already contributed to the GDP growth of Q1. Chair, in closing, I wish to acknowledge the efforts of ESCOM's workforce, the private sector partners who have invested in our energy future, and the millions of South Africans who have endured years of electricity shortage with remarkable patience. The progress we report today is not the result of chance, but is as a result of deliberate science-based planning and execution. While challenges remain, as an ANC, we can state with confidence that the worst of energy crisis is behind us. Honorable Chair, let me use this remaining minutes. Chair, let me take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Minister, Dr. Ramokgopa, Honorable Modise, Honorable Sitole, MEC Mabolo, for dealing with the real issues and for providing details regarding the progress made under the ANC-led government. The fact remains that load shedding has been not with us for quite some time, as attested by our members. ESCOM, as I indicated, is on track. MK Party, Honorable Mokoena, is a party in crisis. It's a party in turmoil. It's a party in disarray. It's a party of toy soldiers around a personality cult. Therefore, MK Party cannot lecture us. It has no moral integrity and authority to lecture us on any. The question remains, why are all those who are implicated, who are appearing in courts, appearing active members of MKP? Why? We all know why. So MKP has become nothing but a magnet of those on the wrong side of the law. Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, what is important now, we're going to have Honorable Mokoena responding to the debate. Over to you, Honorable Mokoena.
5 minutes this time.
Honorable Parenos, don't intimidate people, please.
Thank you, Chair. What I've gathered from everybody debating is that the GNU is clearly falling apart. I can see you all running scared and you're saving your lives, saving the blue lights. And the DA is fumbling around like load shedding schedule, unpredictable, you're unreliable, you are utterly chaotic. You've managed to turn this inclusion of government into a masterclass of mediocrity, proving that you can't even agree on how to fail properly with this ANC. The MK Party firmly believes in a South Africa where public services work for the people, not for profit. However, what we see today, through the minister's own admission, is ESCOM's flirtation with private sector investment, as though that is acceptable. A step towards privatization, a move that will make electricity a privilege to the poor. In June 2024, we all saw into this house and took an oath. I don't believe any of you, while you've been in Cape Town, you've ever experienced load shedding like the people out there. So it is a shame that you can stand here and defend and insult the people of South Africa like this. And Honorable Modise, you are fully aware that Abantu Bakithi not only had their land stolen, you run a select committee that deals with these issues every day. And not only was their land stolen, now they can't even be provided the basic services of electricity. And you stand here and talk about Zuma. What a shame. Don't tell me about blaming President Zuma as though I was not in the ANC. I know firsthand the rot that is in the ANC. The rot that is festering every day, the rot that is still there today. Who can forget the former ANC minister who candidly admitted we all have smaller nyana skeletons? Inkohlakalo iyisiko lenu, ANC. Admit it once and for all, for the future of this country. That was not an admission of guilt alone, but it was an indictment of a party that has normalized corruption, sidelined integrity, and abandoned its mandate to serve the people of South Africa. And the reason we are no longer in the ANC is precisely the type of arrogance and the corruption and the lack of accountability that is shown by each and one of you in the GNU. Honorable Sithole and Mabilo, while he was deputy president, Cyril Ramaphosa's Shanduga Trust was named as part of a cartel responsible for possible collusion and uncompetitive practices related to ESCOM contracts. But let us not forget the ex-official opposition, the DA. Instead of holding the ANC accountable lately, they have played a political game focusing more on historical grievances and outdated narratives that are not addressing the present crisis. Come on, people are not fools out there. And you will see in 2026 how we will keep eating at your votes, every single one of you. The DA now is cozy in government and has brought absolutely nothing to the energy crisis except the same tired speeches about Zuma. You are like a broken generator, loud, expensive, completely useless, while the lights go out. When coal cartels were stealing billions, where was the DA? At some point, Glencore was charging 607 per ton, when the NESA had guidelines saying it should be 350 per ton delivered. Glencore was charging between 100 and 200 more per ton, even for coal that was an average quality. So together, you've allowed South Africa's energy crisis to fester, prioritizing your political games over the needs of people. It's a crying shame. The ANC's legacy is one of corruption, incompetence. The DA's legacy is now opportunism and privatization. Neither has offered the bold leadership that this country so deserves. The MK party stands with the people of South Africa, not with the elites. We stand ready to fight for a brighter future, one where South Africans have access to reliable and affordable electricity. The time for excuses is over. The time for change is now. And wait until 2026. The government, because we will be back in full effect and without our votes stolen. In contrary to popular belief, we are not a magnet of corruption. We are a magnet of votes. Thank you.
All right, honorable delegates. Honorable delegates, I would like to thank the Minister, permanent delegates, MECs, all special delegates, and SALGA representatives for availing themselves for the sitting. Honorable delegates, that concludes the business of the day. The House is adjourned.
Long live the chair.
Recording stopped.